geek bloods, wastoids, dweebies, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Welcome to the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, your trusted partner for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration. Call United Mechanical at 502-339-1133.
All right. Welcome everybody. It is Monday, June 9th. This is the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical. We're coming to you live from the world-famous University of Louisville College of Business Studios here in the heart of College World Series ready Louisville, Kentucky. Hey, Cards fans. Take your career to new heights with an MBA from the University of Louisville. The full-time MBA is an innovative 12-month program that accelerates your career trajectory with convenient in-person evening classes, competitive 11-month paid internship opportunities provided with valuable industry experience. It's the MBA that pays. Get started today, and you can earn a degree in just 1 year. The first step is hopping online and visiting business.louisville.edu/U of L MBA to learn more. We're on the air from 2:32 until 5:30 here on 1450 AM, 96.1 FM, streaming across the United States of America and far, far beyond. You know us better as the Big X. It's a celebratory Monday. It feels good to have Celebration Mondays here as we get into mid-June. The fun's not stopping for at least another couple of weeks. We feel great right now. Mike Rutherford here. Roman Kelly's in the house producing the absolute hell out of the show as always at Romy Bean. We've got Fratty Patty, Patrick Ryan, also in the studio. Look, we got a camera on Patrick on the YouTube stream. You got your own camera there. You actually look like it's you're like more in frame than I am. So we've got that going on. Check us out on YouTube. Big X Sports Radio is the place to subscribe and listen. The Cards are going to the College World Series. For the sixth time in program history, Louisville is headed to Omaha. This may be the sweetest. We've got lots of time to talk about that today. What a weekend it was at Jim Patterson Stadium. We'll have Sean Moth, the man who called all the action on our sister station 970 WGTK. He's going to pop back on the Call Your Law Firm hotline at 3 o'clock to talk about this experience and everything going through his mind when he made the call about Louisville punching its ticket for a sixth time to the pinnacle of college baseball. Before we get to that talk, we can say hi to our guy, Roman Kelly. Producing the show as always, doing a damn good job at it. At Romy Bean on Twitter, give him a follow there. Roman, how are you, buddy?
Doing great, Mike. Glad to be in here. Glad to have Patty in here with us. Excited to talk celebratory baseball talk with you and everything else. Had a good, fun weekend. Got to see 2 U of L baseball games after having attended none. So that was great. I'm just ready to be in. Just had a good run-in with Roman's show.
I was listening in the car.
What'd you think?
Loved it. Loved the baseball enthusiasm.
I feel like I can get away with more pauses when I'm talking by myself, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to. When you're doing your own thing, you've kind of got to get the cadence down. And, you know, when you're monologuing,
yeah,
it's fine. Slowing down, like when I first started doing radio, I was just like, I felt weird if there was any sort of break. And I felt the need to, like, fill any awkward silence with just talking really, really super fast. And people were like, dude, you got to slow down. And as time has gone on, I've gotten better. You just kind of got to slow yourself down. It's a lot easier when you're doing it by yourself, I think, to kind of organize those thoughts and make sure that you're taking the proper time.
Yeah, trying to slow them down. So
yeah,
establishing that, it's like in my head, I'm like, well, as soon as I finish, I'm like, okay, what did I just say? Was that good? Did I follow my path with my outline there? But nothing too exciting from the weekend, just outside of the U of L baseball. I mean, Sunday was kind of a great day of sports, I feel like.
It was a great weekend of sports
yeah,
overall.
Yeah, great weekend of sports.
Lots of good stuff happening. I got to see both you guys on Saturday. That was good. I mean, I feel like we shouldn't be doing the show together because we were sort of like cursing the team. The only game that we lost this weekend was when all three of us were in attendance. But happy to have Patrick here, sharing his baseball wealth of knowledge.
For Castellanos home run tonight.
Well,
what that means.
There you go. All right. Patrick, how are you,
all
buddy?
three of us get together.
I'm good. I sent you that text on like Saturday night. Like I've only ever been to the Cal State Fullerton home run game and then Saturday, so I can't go Sunday. Ended up going Sunday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
well, that makes me feel better.
I broke my curse.
So I didn't go on Sunday. I started thinking about it. I don't know if it was your text that sparked it, but I did start thinking about the Super Regionals over the years, and I was like, I think I'm like 1-5. Like I was thinking about. I was at both the losses to Cal State Fullerton. I was at the first loss to UC Irvine. I was not at the Grand Slam walk-off, but I was at the first game that we lost. We got swept there too. The only game that I've been to that we won in the Supers was Kennesaw State. I was at the first game of that regional, of that Super. And so I guess 1-4, taking into account Saturday. So Sunday, our guy Sean Moth, Saturday night hit me up. We were kind of texting back and forth about the game, airing grievances, and just, kind of wallowing in our misery. And he was like, I'll have a seat available next to me in the press box if you want to come up, if you can find a ticket and get away. And I was like, would be a cool experience. Definitely would have been a cool experience knowing what I know now. But I was like, I feel like I got to stay home and watch from home. I have not had a lot of success going to regional or super regional games. I think the only two that I've won were that Kennesaw State game, and then I was at when we beat Kentucky, not super regional, but the regional in whenever that was, 2012, 2013, whenever they came here. It was a terrible rain delay. Everyone was very drunk. I was very drunk. That was wonderful. But besides that, I've not been great luck in the postseason at Jim Patterson. So I took one for the entire team, watched from home yesterday, and we got it done. We're going to talk a lot about that today, of course. Hit us up on the Big X text line with your thoughts, 502-414-1450. There were some other things going on that were pertinent to our interests around here. We have some basketball talk, little football talk as well, but we will focus most of our time, energy, and excitement around this Louisville baseball team, which, like I said, is now for a sixth time, and I think potentially the sweetest time. Certainly the most surprising since the very first appearance in 2007 is headed to Omaha for the College World Series, which is this is what you strive for in college baseball. This is the Final Four for college baseball. This is whatever the equivalent is, the World Series. Like, this is the biggest thing you get. The only thing bigger is making it to that championship series and winning a national championship, which is the one accomplishment that Dan McDonnell and company have not done in his 18 years here. So in order to start this conversation, I think we have to go back a little bit for like the last month and a half or so. Ever since basketball came to an end, the focus had shifted to baseball, as it typically does when things are going well. And things back in early April were going well. You had a team that was nationally ranked in the top 15. It was faring well against the most highly regarded ACC opponents. And you had a lot of people talking about things are getting back to normal. Things are getting back to usual. Dan McDonnell's got his groove back. This is a team that can compete for a trip to Omaha. And then the inconsistency started. And then it was more than just inconsistency. It was the bottom dropping out late in the season. And you had a lot of folks kind of saying, well, this is just eerily reminiscent of what we saw from this team in 2021, a little bit of reminiscent of what we saw from the team last year in 2024. 2023 was a catastrophe. We're going to limp into the NCAA tournament. There was some talk, I guess, after we lost in the conference tournament that maybe we would get left out. That obviously was misplaced. Got a number 2 seed. But the whole notion or the whole conversation surrounding this team was they're going to be also ran in this tournament. The same inconsistencies that plagued them over the prior 3.5 months were going to be what led to their undoing in the NCAA tournament whenever that came about. And this was just the latest piece of evidence that Dan McDonnell wasn't going to be able to get it done in this new era in the same way that he got it done in the first 15 years that he was here. I guess 13 years that he was here. And you had people outright clamoring on the text line, on social media, with every loss down the stretch, especially the one in the ACC tournament when you had some extra eyes focused on the program and the hope that they could get things going at the right time. You had people who were just like, all right, enough's enough. You've got to call for this man's job. I mean, people messaging me saying, like, it's time. Let's have the conversation. It's past time. Roger's got to go. Dan's got to go. We've got to move into a different direction as a program. And while we certainly aired our fair share of grievances on this show, it always came with the addendum of you got to give them the postseason. College baseball, the postseason can get funky. Imagine how dumb we would all look if on May 10th we're sitting here saying, I don't care what happens. The writing's on the wall. We've got all the evidence that we need to go ahead and make this proper declaration. Dan McDonnell is done. Dan McDonnell has lost his fastball. Dan McDonnell has got to go. The only way to save Louisville baseball is to move in an entirely different direction. And then 3 or 4 weeks later, the Cardinals were playing in Omaha, and you look like the biggest idiot in the world, which is why we didn't do this on the show. The postseason matters. Narratives get flipped. And I think in Louisville's case, while I'll say the same thing I said at the beginning of last week, while it doesn't completely excuse the way that this team played down the stretch, you did have a number of key injuries out there that ideally, if they got rectified and those guys were healthy enough to play in the postseason, you could point to and say, well, that's at least partially why this team that looked so strong in the first month and a half at times looked like such an easy out down the stretch of this season. And while, like I said, you can't explain away everything with the injury talk, I think we can all agree now at this point, having a healthy Patrick Forbes, your ace, kicking things off in a regional, super regional, Friday for a weekend series, having his battery mate, Matt Klein, your captain, one of your best hitters, having Alex Alisea healthy-ish and ready to go, moving Tucker Biff into the starting rotation, giving him the ball in the second game, all of these changes, they make a difference. Louisville's a much, much, much different team when you've got that core in place and they're doing what they're doing. And then Ethan Eberle being moved into like the full-time, like you're going to start, I think having that knowledge in his mind has also allowed him to pitch differently the last couple of times that he's gotten the ball. Remember, he didn't even start the game one of the ACC tournament. Game 0, the only game that we played. He came in the first inning, though, because Daniel Levitch could not get anybody out, and he didn't look as comfortable, not preparing to be a guy who got the ball with one out in the first inning. So having now stability, having a solid rotation, having a good idea of who's going to play and who's not going to play, the team has looked different, entirely different for the last couple of weeks. And if we're going to criticize Dan McDonnell for this team looking unorganized and not having pop and the pitchers not throwing, you've got to give credit to McDonnell and company now because we've looked entirely different. And I think every trip to Omaha is special. Anytime you see the dog pile, especially when it happens on your home field, it gives you goosebumps. It should. To me, this one is maybe the sweetest that we've had. And I don't know what's going to happen moving forward this year or with the future of the program. But there is a very real world in which we look back and say that wound up being arguably the most critical 2-week stretch of Louisville baseball in program history. Because imagine if we lose the first 2 games. Imagine if we win one and we're 3 and out in Nashville. You've got people right now who are like, I can't believe they haven't fired Dan McDonnell yet. Maybe Dan McDonnell's like, this is ridiculous. I'm not getting the funding that I want here. I can't compete at the level. And these ungrateful. Maybe Dan McDonnell leaves on his own accord. Who knows what the hell happens in that case? All of a sudden now, we're in a pretty harmonious state. We're celebrating. We're excited about the future of the program. Roger Williams has, I think, got a little bit of his swagger back. Pitchers look great we won with pitching the last couple of weekends. It's supposed to be the Achilles heel of this team. It's been the Achilles heel of this program since COVID, basically. All of a sudden, you can envision a world in which Louisville goes on to have more success in Omaha this next week and a half, and is able to parlay that into more success for a program moving forward overall. We can get back to hosting regionals at Jim Patterson. We can get back to being a national seed. We can get back to competing for conference championships. All of that feels like it's on the table right now. It would have felt the exact opposite if this team had not gone on the postseason run that it has. Maybe we look back and say that was fool's gold. Maybe the program never fully regains it. Right now, though, anything is possible. And it's all due to these guys stepping up and doing what they've done with 5 wins in 6 games over the past 2 weekends. I wrote this today. It's different than it's been in, when we were going in 2019 and 2017 and 2015 and 2014 and 2006. But it still feels the same. I think I compare, here's your sports to relationships. I'm too dumb to think of anything else comparison of the day. It's like being separated from a soulmate for a couple of decades and then being brought back together through circumstances, and you get back together and you're like, oh man, It's different. We look different. We've gone through different things. We're clearly different innate people, but it feels the same. You smell the same. You feel the same. You give me the same feelings that you gave me 20 years ago. That's how it feels on this Monday. That's the intoxication level. It feels right that we're sitting here going into the middle of June talking about Louisville baseball being at the epicenter of the sports conversation in the city. It's the way that it's supposed to be. It's the way that it's been for so long. And it was the most shocking thing since the 2007 College World Series run was the Louisville baseball fall off. Because Dan McDonnell, seemingly out of thin air, builds a perennial powerhouse. He builds the most consistent program on Floyd Street for the past 13 years. Louisville goes from dominating the Big East, dominating the AAC for a year, dominating the ACC, which everybody said wasn't possible, and even when they're not going to Omaha, they're hosting regionals. They're right there in the mix to go to Omaha. They're seen as a contender. We missed one NCAA tournament from 2007 up until the pandemic canceled the 2020 season. Again, this is a program that had been to one NCAA tournament, period, before McDonnell got here in 2007 and had never won a game. It became an expectation, not a pipe dream, to have regionals and super regionals played at Jim Patterson Stadium every May, every June. That became the post-Derby focus. People would go from the NCAA tournament to Derby to, oh yeah, what's Louisville baseball up to? And to have it taken away without any sort of preparation, there was no writing on the wall that this was going to happen. The 2020 team was the most complete roster we've ever fielded. You had two major league pitchers kicking off every single weekend on the mound in Reed Detmers and Bobby Miller, and another proven guy in Luke Smith starting on Sunday. The pandemic taking that team's ability to compete for a national title away was jarring, but like everybody else, I just assumed that the good times were going to keep going. They'd given us no reason to believe otherwise. And then when you have that fall off, and it's coupled with these dramatic shifts in college sports overall, it's understandable why the entire fan base goes into the place mentally of, well, this is it. Every coach loses what made them great at some point. This is Dan McDonnell's moment. The fall off is happening. We're not coming back. We keep getting reasons before every single season why it's going to be different and what he's learned and why it's going to change, and nothing changes. The program just isn't what it used to be. And now here we are. I think what also makes this so rewarding is Louisville college sports in general. When a legendary head coach starts to lose it, how rare is it that he ever gets it back? We had the comparisons to Denny Crum. I mean, Louisville fans have seen this firsthand. When Denny Crum started slipping in, say, the early 90s, yeah, there were still some good moments. But that belief that he was going to eventually get back to the pinnacle of where this program was in the 1980s just never happened. Once the downslope started, it never really stopped. I think you can say the same about Bobby Petrino. Once he lost it, things unraveled in a remarkably quick and complete fashion. Once the drama started with Rick Pitino, it never really stopped until he was forced to leave. There were some good moments, but never what it was. And so to now see the same thing seemingly happening to Dan McDonnell, and then boom, snap of a finger, he's back on the sport's biggest stage. He's back having Louisville, 5 wins away from a national championship. It's remarkably exciting. Just because I think we all sort of, even if we didn't come to terms with the reality of Louisville baseball never being good again or potentially never getting back to the College World Series, or at least it being a very, very long time before we had these types of conversations, we all at least grappled with the idea that it was possible over the last couple of years. I certainly did. And so to have all of those fears put to bed over a week and a half, it feels incredible. Baseball's back in Louisville. It's the way that it should be. And now we get to talk about this for another couple of weeks. Let's go win the whole damn thing. Roman, you were out there on Saturday. You were out there on Sunday. You are one of those kind of fans that gets brought in when the program makes a run in the NCAA tournament. You've not followed college baseball religiously or anything like that. Give me your first impression of experiencing Jim Patterson Stadium kind of with that magic of super regionals and all that went down over the past 72 hours.
Yeah, it felt like every single fan was into every single pitch, Mike. Like, everyone knew the circumstances of every single pitch and just how important it was to be a part of the crowd, to help the team out as a crowd, because this is one of those kind of, you're right there, you're a part of the action. It's baseball already, but it's also just the way it's designed. You're really able to let the volume be heard if you have enough fans in there. And that was kind of cool to see. I just had never seen that. The couple of baseball games that I had been to were high school games, and it was not nearly the same size crowds. So that was super cool. Seeing how many people were discussing the things that we were discussing on the radio, like the statistical numbers and what like had been like happening, like how long, just how significant it was for us to be here after spending so many years not back in this kind of setting again was cool to see. It's like every time I was walking past the conversation, that's what I was hearing. Yeah, and then like seeing the U of L basketball team in there, and those guys celebrating both. I mean, I was there Friday and Saturday. They were in there both games I saw for that. So, well, I saw Kanai and someone else in there Saturday. I don't remember. I didn't see anybody else Saturday outside of Kanai, and I don't know who he was with. I don't think it was a player on the team, but
Miller Moss was in the house Saturday.
saw Miller Moss Saturday. Got to say what's up to Adrian Woolley on Friday. So that was also really cool as well, just seeing other athletes in there. Yeah, Mike, it was awesome. I thought it was great. I wish we could have got the sweep done, but you called it.
I almost called it perfectly. I was talking with Sean about this yesterday, too. I mean, I had to clip the part of the show where I was like, I think we win tonight on Friday. I think we lose a close one on Saturday. And then I think Ethan Everly shoves on Sunday, and we win a 5-4 thriller. It got to a point where when Miami's threatening in the top of the ninth, and they've got the two guys on, they're going to be running on a 3-2 pitch. I saw this scenario where, who's the guy who led off for them that they kept talking about, the leadoff hitter? They kept saying, like, he's like the most cerebral. They talked about his knowledge of the game 85 times over the weekend. And they were like, was it Dunson? Whatever his name was. Like, it's Dunson baseball. He went 0 for 5 yesterday, by the way. But I saw this scenario where he hits a ball in the gap somewhere, or even just like down the line. Both runs score. Miami goes up 4-3. And I was like, if that happens, I think we're scoring 2 in the bottom of the ninth. I feel like we're walking this thing off 5-4, and all of a sudden I start scaring myself. But I felt good when we left on Saturday. I had the same thoughts that everybody else did, where it's like, damn, we're up 4-1. We have the pickoff. I still don't know what Kamayu Neighbors is doing on second. And then you've got I thought letting Ty Stark pitch to Cuvée was a mistake, and he hit a ball like 7,000 feet that made everybody realize it was a mistake. And you're kind of thinking, man, that was our chance. I still left thinking, we got this. I feel good about Sunday. Everly does not carry himself like a freshman. He hasn't at any point this season. I think he's rock solid. He's also one of our most reliable guys when it comes to actually throwing strikes, which is a huge deal for this team. And it just felt like we're going to bounce back. Now, when the bats are not doing what they're supposed to on Sunday and we're down 2-0, when Everly makes basically one bad pitch, I start to doubt a little bit. But we were the better team. That was a good back and forth all weekend. We clearly were the better team. And I'll say this now, too. We still haven't played our best baseball this postseason. We've played really good baseball. We've left a lot of guys in scoring position. We've still made base running errors. The defense has been good. The pitching has clearly been much, much better than it was most times this season. If we get that pitching in Omaha, you still haven't had the offensive explosion that this team is capable of. You still had a couple of stuff that can be cleaned up. This team, we knew this all along. I think we've seen it firsthand over the last 2 weeks. This team can beat anybody, and that includes all 7 other teams that are going to be going to Middle America with us. All right, we got to get out of here. 3 o'clock is coming up next. We're going to talk to Sean Moth. He'll smart the show up. We'll get him on the Call Your Law Firm hotline coming up after the break. Keep it locked right here. It's the Mike Rutherford Show. We're celebrating on a Monday here on 1450 and 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. on Big X Sports Radio. You can also see us streaming on YouTube. Streaming audience going up slowly today. People are excited. It's a Monday.
Because Patty's in here.
There's a camera
Patty's
on me.
here. We got a camera on Patty. He's rocking the U of L baseball jersey. We're feeling very, very good. I've missed celebratory Mondays, and we've gotten 3 of them in a row now. It feels remarkably good to be here, and it also feels remarkably good to be about to talk to Sean Moth, our guy who called all the action on our sister station, 970 WGTK, the voice of Louisville Cardinal baseball. You hear him all the time. Everyone, like the first thing that I kept hearing after the game was over is like, I got to hear Sean's call. Everyone wanted to hear it. He joins us now on the Collier Law Firm hotline for the second straight Monday. Sean, very, very happy to have you. Oh, I think, is Roman calling him now? Is he not on? Oh, he's on. There we go. Sean Moth, welcome into the program. Thanks so much for spending some time with us here for a second straight Monday. How are you, buddy?
Always a pleasure. I'm doing great. How about you?
We're doing fantastically well. We're very, very, very excited about what is to come here. I was saying before you came on, this one feels, they all feel different in their own respect, but we became accustomed, I think, to this program, at least flirting with trips to the College World Series. And this one, with all that's happened, not just in recent years, missing the NCAA tournament 3 of the past 4 years, but just this season specifically and all the hubbub around it. Yesterday, for all of those reasons, and I think a few more, it felt just a little bit sweeter in a different way. Agree?
Yeah, no question about it. I think, as you mentioned, the recent track record of the team and the struggles the last 2 seasons, and maybe getting a little slighted last year during the selection show. The fact that it was a team and a roster full of kids that had basically 1 game of postseason experience, and again, as we talked last week, a fan base that has had the baseball frustrations. And while Jeff Brom and the football team has been phenomenal and can't be ignored, the basketball team up until the Pat Kelsey revival this year had some lean times. And so, fans can suffer through outside of the Cubs. I don't know if anybody does it better, but you just have to have things that you cheer on. And I think the catharsis that was there for the coaching staff, for the team, and for the fans was immeasurable. And so I noted, I took a picture with my phone. It was about an hour after the final out, and basically not a single player had taken off any part of their uniform and or left a diamond, or even picked up their hats and gloves, which are kind of laying in a stream mess as a land sale, right inside the diamond. So there was definitely some extra sweetness to the dog pile yesterday.
How'd you feel about your personal call? You've had some practice on this. I thought it was very, very solid. Have you gone back and listened to it? What are your thoughts?
I reluctantly did. I cut it up so they could use it on social media. It's nerve-wracking because, first of all, I don't want to be Jim Nance. I respect Jim Nance, but I think it's a little too contrite or calculated if you lay in bed and come up with something silly. So it needed to be somewhat organic. But at the same time, I've got the pressure now where the 07 call doesn't exist. It's in the ether somewhere. Nobody recorded the game, so I don't even know what I said. And it's only been heard the one time it was said. But 13, 14, 17, and 19, I also had that same catchphrase. And so I didn't want to repeat it. So I was kind of nervous. I almost kind of felt like I needed to go back and listen through. But I don't think I had said anything resembling what I said yesterday. And so, it's one of those things where, as a broadcaster, you try to set up every pitch that could be the last out as the out that sends you to the College World Series. The problem with yesterday's finish, as you noted, is that there was a man on with 1 out, so every subsequent pitch could have been a double play that ended it and sent us to Omaha. And so after about 4 more full counts, I'd set up the freaking call about 18 times, and I'm getting too old for this crap, I like the 14-0 East Carolina where it was, I could think about it for 3 or 4 innings, but I don't know. I leave it to the fans to critique, and it seems like they were pretty pleased on social.
If you had come up with a Jim Nanceism for that, can you give me one?
Oh, well, it feels like there's some sort of hurricanes and what wind does, but I don't know that the FCC probably wouldn't allow for that. So off the top of my head, I really didn't stir anything up, but it's funny because in the back of my mind, I've also thought about if the planets aligned one of those 5 years that we went to Omaha before, what if we get to that championship series? And I mean, what if we win a national title? Like, what am I going to say? And so, I mean, I would love to have that problem, but it's intimidating to even imagine because, you know, there's a certain amount of pressure that comes with it, and man, it's a great pressure. But in the same light, you know, you don't want your voice to do a Peter Brady and crack, or you know, say something stupid or stumble over your words. Which, you know, I'm an expert at all those things. So, you know, it is what it is.
I would love it. I mean, there's a part of me that would love it if you were just like, holy bleeping bleep, like just like when I was like, oh my God, Sean really wasn't prepared. He just let it go.
Yeah, just go full Harry Carey on it. Absolutely.
Why not?
Yeah, it was close. I'm telling you, it was man, it was very nerve wracking, but it was a great scene.
You could have said, Brennan cuts down the Canes, and the Cards are on their own ball. There you go. That's a free one for the next time if that happens. If we end up in that situation.
Yeah, and I guess with more in center, there's more. You know, we got a lot of proper words in our roster. Yeah, we got Hot, we got Neighbors, we got Moore, we got King. It's good to be King. You know, who knows?
Yeah, plenty of possibility. Jim Nantz would have had a field day with this team. This would have been just a layup for him. He would have not even played all weekend.
I'm sure I let him down, yeah.
That's okay. The Cards did take care of business. This was the first time, you know, bouncing back with the Saturday loss. The first weekend in Nashville, it was pretty, you know, like adversity-free. They go out there, they play 3 different teams, they win 3 different games. This team has maybe not always handled adversity all that well. So I think there was a general sense amongst the fan base about, after Saturday's game, like, oh my God, maybe we blew it. What does it say about this group that they were able to come back and not just win on Sunday, but come back from being down 2-0 and win in the fashion that they did against a very, very good, very experienced, very solid Miami team?
Yeah, it's a team that, as Dan has worn out the metaphor, they've come off the mat a lot of times this year. You know, this is a team that had a number of come-from-behind victories, whether it be being down 6-0 to a St. John's team early in a game to, I think they were down 3 against Moorhead in the 9th and came back to walk it off. And so credit to the team, no question about it. When I laid down in bed and got ready to go to sleep Saturday night thinking about what Sunday brought, it allowed me to sleep easier because I knew that Dan McDonnell was coaching the team. And I don't want to take anything away from the team and what they did, but the speech he gave the team before the postseason about, I win in the postseason, you need to trust me. I think when 07 came along, I started keeping track of what his record was in elimination games. And, of course, when you are on the heel, you know, the cusp of losing a regional, you have nothing but elimination games. And the same thing was said when we won our only elimination game in the Super Regional, and we won one elimination game in the College World Series. And so he came out of the gates at like 5-1 or 6-1, and so that became a bit of a hallmark for him. And this team was 8-0 on Sunday in their home ballpark, and 4-0 in rubber games, and 3 of those were win Friday, lose Saturday, win Sunday. And so it's a rinse and repeat for the team, and they certainly had been there, done that. But it just knowing that Dan and Raj and you know, Coach Eric Snyder and Coach Adam Brable don't probably get enough credit. They've been here 11 seasons. I mean, it's pretty remarkable how much that staff has stayed intact. But as much credit goes to the team, man. Coach there was a calm to him in the dugout after the game on Saturday. You know, I'm just blessed. We get one final game at Jim Patterson, you know, and you kind of knew. And so it wasn't quite the rollover we've had in the past, but it was a win nonetheless.
It's always Sean Moth here on the Collier Law Firm Hotline. Last Monday when we were talking, we made some comparisons to that 2007 team, particularly when it came to lack of experience. The other thing they have in common was this was the first time since that 07 team where we've won Game 3 of a Super Regional. The other 4 trips have all been sweeps. They've all been kind of relatively easy. I feel like, you know, I'm not saying that I was happy that we lost on Saturday, but it did make yesterday feel like just that much better. You know, knowing every single pitch, it was make or break. It came down. It was a different type of experience than we've had since, I guess, the famous loss to Fullerton. Again, like the comparisons between that 07 run and this one, I think are kind of out there. And you mentioned McDonnell being so relaxed. He gave an interview when they were down 2-0, and he seemed very, very relaxed there. I'm sure that had to have helped the nerves from his group yesterday, which had never been in this position before.
Yeah, there's no question. And you know, you knew that Miami they had played in a tough atmosphere down at P. Taylor Park, too. You can't take for granted. People here that don't know baseball at Southern Miss, Hattiesburg, I mean, they get after it down there, and that's a place that, I mean, I talked with Chris Dominguez on Thursday, and I asked how Hattiesburg was because they stayed there, and he said somebody came up to me and said, remember when you guys came down in 07, got in that brawl? Like, they remembered him, even though he's with a different team now. And so Miami was seasoned, and it was not a team that was going to go easily. And as I gave credit to the team and I gave credit to Dan, I probably fell short because ultimately a lot of the credit and a lot of the difference goes to the fact that I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about the atmosphere at the ballpark, whether it's the first time the Cards took the field for in and out, whether it's when the starting lineups were introduced. I mean, Zion Rose's running catch in left field in the first inning, the place was electric all weekend long. And so I think that that was something that kind of pushed the Cards that direction. And we're indebted to the fans. And I said going into it, I'm season baseball for postseason baseball, but man, I missed postseason baseball in Louisville with our fans. And so it's I probably strayed from your question initially, but I just got distracted by the fact that I didn't say how much I appreciated the fans. We were fourth going into Sunday with super regional attendance, and it was unbelievable. It was fantastic.
One of the awesome things about this time of the year, I know, let's just say like it is, like Louisville baseball doesn't get the same type of attention that football or men's basketball does, which is it doesn't make us unique, but you have the fan base when this team goes on these types of runs really kind of latch on, and all of a sudden a guy that maybe half the fan base couldn't name becomes the most popular person in the city of Louisville for this month, and it sort of happened this week. I mean, Eddie King Jr., nobody's been able to get him out for the last 2 weekends. He's electric on Saturday, even in defeat. The fans are chanting his name. He comes through in the biggest moment on Sunday. I always love when that happens, when you go from, oh yeah, I think that name sounds familiar, to this guy, could be bought a steak dinner anywhere in the city. He's had that type of weekend. I know Monroe was really good, but how about Eddie King Jr. these last couple of weekends?
I mean, we saw this from Eddie last year down the stretch. He was ACC Player of the Week the final weekend of the regular season. I think he had 5 home runs against Notre Dame, and so he went on a heater then where you felt like, okay, this is a legitimate big league prospect, and he went on to continue to demonstrate that. This is a kid that redshirted because of a fluke broken leg. He went on to be MVP of the Summer League, and then slowly worked his way into becoming the player that he became. And he had some injuries with the hamstring that really hampered him in the fall, into the early season, the first 4 games, and finally it shut him down. But if you were to put together a full regular season of what he did at the end of last year to this point this year, he has been unbelievable. And I think he was the top returning OPS in the ACC coming into the year. So it wasn't a surprise to those of us that have been around the program and follow the program, but it was such a joy to see somebody that's so quiet and so modest have the opportunity to celebrate this. And he has a really unique opportunity because he dogpiled in 2014 in Williamsport and visited the White House. And now he has a rare opportunity to be part of a 2025 College World Series team and run the same path. And so nobody more deserving than Eddie. I loved his comment in the postgame where he said, I've never heard them chant my name like that. I don't know if I ever will hear them chant my name like that. That's reserved for the Jeters and the Reggie Jacksons and the absolute legends of the game. And so to see our fans do that was phenomenal. And I have to give a lot of credit to a guy like Jake Monroe, who also was just phenomenal at the plate. And again, Roger Williams did such an amazing job with the pitching staff.
One of the things that I've always loved about Dan McDonnell is he always is. It seems honest. Like, when you ask him yesterday, when people were talking to him in the post-game press conference about you've been through some tough times, like, is it different? A different coach may be like, it's not different at all. We never really pay attention to outside noise. He was very open about, like, we heard it all. Like, we felt disrespected. I had a little bit of doubt moving forward. You've been around him in extreme close parameters ever since you got here. You had to have sensed that this was a little bit different for him than these past super regionals this go around.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And I think pregame on Sunday, I said to him, I got to ask you this. You had the dog pile in 1990. Obviously, you've had plenty of great memories. I said, do you enjoy the moments while they're happening, or is it one of those that it's always the season's over, then you look back, and then you recollect, and then you celebrate and remember. And it was interesting the way he answered, because his way of drinking it in was kind of at the end of the game when the team's dogpiling after he shakes hands with the opposing coaches, that it's then that maybe he kind of, he kind of senses what's going on. And my question was, are you like me getting goosebumps in the first inning hearing our crowd, or just sensing the savvy our crowd has? Even when one of our starting pitchers came out, Dan would start his walk to the mound and the fans would start to erupt. It wasn't when the new pitcher came in and got the ball and the pitcher came off the field. I mean, they started that early. And so I was wondering if he even sensed in game how those things happen. And he didn't. He is so hyper-focused on everything going on. But it was, I think, the first time maybe since I've been around him that it felt like it was a relief to win a super regional, not a privilege. And I know that the privilege is still there and the excitement is still there, but I think there was certainly a sense of relief that I think he started to question himself and question the program. It went beyond, just frustration. There was some self-doubt that crept in. And I've been down that road with, jobs I've done and situations I've been in. And so I am thrilled for this team and these young men to have this experience at Omaha, because there is nothing like it. And even more so, I'm happy for these coaches. I really, really am.
Louisville's going to play Oregon State, a perennial program that also has not been to Omaha maybe as recently as they would have liked. That's going to be Friday afternoon in the very first College World Series game. You look at the bracket, and we talked about how things have opened up. A lot of the top national seeds aren't going to be there. Louisville's still not going to be one of the betting favorites. They're going to be the 6th, 7th, 8th choice in anybody's power rankings. But I think, you've watched this team all season long. We've seen them compete against the best all season long and play pretty well. It certainly feels like they've got a fighting chance going over there to do something that no U of L team outside of men's basketball has ever done. I don't think it would shock anybody at this point if they've got, a week and a half left of baseball still to be played.
Yeah, I think you've said it too. Wouldn't it be perfect if this were the team? And you kind of wonder if that's how it's lining up. And you make the point that we went through the entire postseason, and our Sunday starter for 13 weekends, Peter Michael, who threw 6 no-hit innings against North Carolina, didn't throw a pitch. Mm-hmm. And right behind him in ERA, TJ Schlager didn't throw a pitch. We had arms that were ready to go. Last year, Sunday starter Colton Hartman didn't throw a pitch. And I know those guys were disappointed and frustrated, but at the same time, I also know that they were just drinking in the amazing experience that it was. But the pitching's there, and a lot of people that don't follow college baseball closely don't understand that basically when you get to Omaha, you're playing in a regional, and then you're playing in a super regional if you win it. And so it's just another 2 weekends of the postseason. Now it's going to be condensed into 10 days, and it's going to be a pretty quick turnaround because it starts Friday, and you'll play pretty much every other day. There'll be an off day Friday, and then that championship series is a Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But there's a lot to be said for the way the pitching has operated. There's a lot to be said, too, for the fact that this is a team that can score a lot of different ways. And when you go up against Oregon State, they've always been known for their pitching, and there's no question they've got a very talented pitching staff this year, but they kind of slugged their way to Omaha. They have 103 home runs. They've got 2 guys that are going to go in the top 3 rounds in the draft that have 18 and 19 home runs respectively, and 3 others with double digits. And so it can be tough to slug your way to wins at the Schwab because it's not a home run park. Is this one that maybe gives an opportunity for the guys with the speed team to put some balls in the alley and put some pressure on the teams? Yeah, and Dan's always had fast teams, but it certainly is intriguing, and it all begins on the mound. And it all begins with that first start, and you love that Patrick Forbes, a potential first-rounders on your team to give you that boost.
You said the Oregon State start. It'll be. I assume the Kleinschmidt kid, I think, pitched game 1 of the Super. Was that right, or was it who pitched game 1 for them for the Beavers?
Full disclosure, I
was gonna say I don't want to put you on the spot.
The weekend is such a blur to me. I couldn't tell you really much of anything outside of the fact I know that Ivar Arquette is a first-round draft pick, and Gavin Turley is projected to be up there as well. The weekend rotation has been pretty firm with Kleinschmidt and Whitney, but I didn't pay attention, even though it was the bracket across from us. I was so consumed with what we were doing and maybe a little Stanley Cup hockey here and there. I don't really have the scout I need to give you, especially because it's Monday and we've got until Friday or Saturday to do that. But either way, you're dealing with a talented arm and an ERA that's under 4, so it's going to be no easy task. And they've got 16 saves. They don't really have a closer. They literally have like 9 guys with a save, and so this is a staff that has spread their innings around all season long, and they've got a long tradition of pitching. And this is a rematch. This is a team we saw in 2013. We've actually been to Omaha with them 4 different times now: 07, 13, 17, and now 25. And so it's a familiar team to be there with, and they're on our side of the bracket for the second time. But I don't know a ton about their pitching.
Well, I was gonna go ahead.
Whitney started game 1. Clark
Okay,
went game 2.
Thank you, Patrick. I was gonna ask you the same thing that I asked last Monday, almost because it was good luck, and I don't want to ruin anything at this point. The pitching, which was so maligned down the stretch of the regular season, and I think probably deservedly so, has been so good over the past 2 weekends. You've got guys throwing strikes. Like you said, we're going to have to go deeper in the pen. Every year you watch the College World Series, and they're talking about this guy hasn't pitched since April 1st, and like he's in critical moments. Is it possible? Should Louisville fans expect this to continue? I'm not sure exactly what switch has been flipped, but credit to Roger Williams and company for getting this right. I mean, should we just expect that this is going to be the norm moving forward to Omaha, or at least can that be a rational hope?
I think I'll link this answer to your question with a question that you asked last week, and that is, what kind of impact is Matt Klein having on the pitching staff? And I think we're seeing the residual effect, whether it is the true effect, the placebo effect, or some percentages broken down between the two. Yeah, that's a legitimate impact. And what Matt Klein's done at the plate with 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and a 286 average in the 6 games in the postseason has certainly been immeasurable, but he's caught every pitch. And it's a team that has an ERA of 2.04, and it's a team, like you said, the 21 walks in 53 innings, 64 strikeouts, a 192 opponent's batting average. They've out-homered the opponent 11-5. You know, there's a lot of positive numbers, and I think this staff, the struggles has been, like I pointed out, I think mid-season, that we're trying to make up innings for Parker Detmers, and the guys that are making up those innings are having to have the innings behind them made up for them. But now that we've settled in with Bibbin and Eberle in the rotation to follow Forbes, then guys like Dan Alevich, who's been just lights out all year long, can continue to be who he is. Jake Schweitzer has emerged to be just a legitimate beast in the pen. And Justin West has been able to kind of calm himself and not have to worry about his role, and just know that the bus is going to pull up, we're going to need him, and he's going to perform. And Brennan Cutts, you know, that's the veteran guy, and that's kind of that outlier that if you get into a loser's bracket in this first round at Omaha, that you throw that kid out there for a start, and you know he pitched in a regional, he went the distance and won a game in Lexington, and so you talk about these guys in addition to the names I mentioned earlier that haven't pitched yet, and I don't think it's false hope, but baseball's a crazy game. You know, it's you see Ellie De La Cruz go 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts one day, and he hits 3 home runs the next, and so there's an inexplicable quality to the game of baseball, and so you never want to make any promises, but when you look at the trio of starters combining for a 3-0 record and the ERA that's right around 2, there's a lot to be said for what you can do when you get good starting pitching.
Yeah, well, you know, we don't talk about the Reds on the show, so it's okay. We still talk about the Reds.
I was calling when he went with the bats. That's what.
There you go. I appreciate that. We had a texter, Dave, said in the 8th inning of the first game, you described some geese flying over, and it almost made him cry. I don't know how that's possible, but congratulations. That sounds like you were waxing poetic.
Well, you know, it sounds kind of corny, but I'm kind of corny as it is. You know, there's a romance about baseball on the radio because its origins were, you know, there was no TV when the original broadcasts came to fruition. And so it's my job, at least the way I approach the job, it's my job to be your eyes. You know, I just have to assume that you've never been to a ballpark. You don't know what it looks like. You don't know how it's situated. You don't know what the weather's doing. You don't know what the players are wearing. You don't know anything. And I do happen to be a bit of a birder. That's my bonsai tree side hustle. So I've always enjoyed birds, and growing up out west, I certainly spent a lot of time outdoors. And yeah, I had a great blue heron fly over the field yesterday right at a critical spot. And if it's a plane, if it's a train, if it's a bird, if it's a streaker on the berm, I'm going to tell you what's happening in front of me so that you can close your eyes and try to put yourself there. And so I was flattered. It's crazy because I probably talked about this last week, but when I first started broadcasting in high school, I'd do a game, I'd pack up, I'd go home, and I didn't know if anybody was listening. And now through Twitter, I can make it an interactive broadcast where I had people listening in Scotland, Korea, Greece. Somebody was on a Viking cruise on the Rhine River. I had people all at Seattle, all over the United States and Canada, and it's really fun to make it interactive. And so my mission is to paint the picture, and I love it when the fans enjoy it.
You've been fortunate enough to make multiple trips to Omaha. I know you talk about what a great experience it is. I still have not gone. For people like me who have not been there, maybe thinking about going, give the pitch. Why is the College World Series in Omaha such a can't-miss sporting event? Because everybody who goes says the exact same thing.
Well, I would challenge you to understand how well Louisville runs the Derby. The College World Series has been going on since 1947, I believe. And I think in 47 it was in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And then I think 48 and 49 it was in Wichita, Kansas. And then in 1950 it moved to Louisville, or moved to Omaha. And it's been there since. And so the city, the community, the surrounding areas understand how to run a championship. It's so fun because the first time we went in 07, the charter landed at the airport at Epley Field, and the buses pulled up. People started pulling bags off the plane and loading them on the bus, and the players' eyes going wide, like, we don't have to do that? Okay. They're giving them Krispy Kreme donuts and bottled water, and Dan that year forced the bus driver to go to the field so the team could actually see the field for the first time before practice day. But that Thursday, all 8 teams will go to the Schwab. They'll have a practice day. They'll meet with the media. They'll do an autograph session out of the concourse. There's a high level of access to the players over the course of the weekend. There's a massive fan zone. There's a tent city that has just every vendor you could imagine in the baseball and T-shirt world. There's a concert. There's a fireworks show. The teams will actually, in the past, in 19, there was a parade that went from Creighton University to the ballpark, or they walked the route. The teams will come in from center field for an opening ceremony. They'll all sit down before the fireworks show. And ironically, I never really knew that Omaha was such a cool place in terms of, the other aspects of it, like foodies. And I know that you've talked about how much you and your family enjoy the zoo. The Henry Dorley Zoo is one of the greatest zoos in the country. And the old market area adjacent to Charles Schwab Field is just wrought with phenomenal dining opportunities and shops, cobblestone streets. And it's such a communal event that there's no animosity. It's like you're all just happy to be in Omaha. And, in all the other sports, pretty much you're going there to win a national championship. And while the 8 teams certainly have that in mind, college baseball is not about getting to the Elite 8 or the Final Four. It's about a destination. It's about a place. It's about Omaha. And it's so wholly unique. And it also lasts for 10 days. The Final Four, you get there Thursday, and you might go home Saturday, and if you're lucky, you're there through Monday. But it's a blink. It's a weekend, and it's over. And here you get to relish. Your team plays on Friday. You have the day off Saturday, but you're going to play Sunday regardless. And so there's a casual nature to it that kind of reflects the pastoral way that baseball's played, and everything's really close in proximity, and it's just it's pretty indescribable. And I talked to Ken Taylor today. I work at ISCO. We're sponsoring a golf tournament, the ISCO Championship at Hurstbourne, the second week of July, as I give it a plug. I'd love to have fans come out to that. They had their media event today. I thought maybe I'd see you out there. Disappointed maybe you didn't get that memo.
I didn't get that memo.
The folks up top. Yeah,
no.
So if I'd known ahead of time, I would have given you a little bit of warning. But, I talked to some of those guys, Tom Lane and Fred Calgo, about their memories, and Ken Taylor said he'd never been. I said, well, we got to fix that. I mean, you have to, and even if Louisville's not in it, it's a fun event. But when you get a chance to see your team out there, I mean, it is a phenomenal time. It is indescribable. I mean, the one year we had a rain delay during the opening ceremonies, and we all crowded into one of the locker rooms with UCLA. And we're just hanging out, and we're just talking with each other, and it's just, I don't know. There's something unique that I can't really put words onto, but I've given you about 1,000 right there, so hopefully I put it in a larger nutshell than I probably should have.
No, I love it, and we're all very hopeful that you get to spend a full week and a half, 10, 11, maybe 12 days, depending on the schedule, how it all works out with the team out there in Omaha. Sean, we've had a blast listening to you all season long. Certainly, it's been more enjoyable the last 2 weeks than any other 2 weeks, and we can't wait to listen to you again on Friday afternoon. We appreciate the time as always, man.
And one of my favorite tweets this weekend was from Gleno telling me he was listening in, so I appreciated that. So pass that along to him, and thanks to all your listeners, and thanks to you guys. I appreciate the support, and we'll hopefully talk to you when we're in Omaha.
Of course. That's Sean Moth there on the Collier Law Firm Hotline, the voice of Louisville baseball. You heard him all weekend long, and like I said, you'll be able to hear him hopefully for, 5, 6 more games? We'll see how long it takes to win a national title, but you'll be able to hear all the action on our sister station, 970 WGTK. Big shout out to the Collier Law Firm. They sponsor the hotline there. They've got you covered when it comes to being injured in an accident or on the job and getting the full recovery money that you need. Call them today, 502-736-8141, or visit them online at collierlawfirm.com for the full array of what they bring to the table, including those attorney fees that just start at 25%. If you're injured in an accident or you're injured on the job, call your law firm. All right, we got to go to break. We'll come back. Big X text lines, 502-414-1450. We have a couple things to tackle before we get to you guys, but do want a chance to make sure that you have a chance to have your voice heard on this celebratory Monday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical. Back after this here on 1450 and 96.1. back in. Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio, streaming live on YouTube at Big X Sports. Subscribe there. You'll be able to see all the shows. If you want to wake up at 7 a.m. and you're like, you know what? I'm dying to see Justin Kalen with my own eyes. It's the only thing that goes well with coffee. You can do that now. As Drive-In with Dingus, Sunrise with Justin, whatever the show is, Mornings with Scoots. It's all on Big X streaming. Just subscribe there. You'll be able to watch all the shows from sunrise to sundown. And the best thing about Mondays is we have 5 consecutive hours of Louisville Cardinal or Louisville Cardinal related programming. You've got Running with Roman at 2, which you heard already. You'll have the recap with Roman at 5:30, and then today we got Dalton Penson here from 6 to 7. So perfect for days like this where you're looking to do a little bit of celebrating.
Monday's actually Dalton, 5:30 to 7.
Oh, Dalton's in at 5:30.
That's right.
Okay, so you'll have Dalton on at 5:30. No recap with Roman today.
Tuesday through Friday kind of a thing.
Just running with Roman. So we're always evolving here at Big X Nation, so much so that it's
Dalton and Roman will recap.
Hard to
They'll
keep
do some
track of.
recapping.
Recapping with Pence and Roman.
Yeah. I'll get my Big X Big Bets in with you, though, today.
All right, perfect. We'll make that happen. I did want to ask you, we'll give the 2 minutes of Roman talking NBA. I know you got a chance to do it a little bit on Running with Roman, and we're not going to do a ton of it today. But we got an even series. It's what we expect. We've got a competitive series. This is what we wanted, right?
Yep. It's exactly what we wanted. Pacers got the job done technically. Didn't look great at all last night. A lot of, on either side of the ball, really, they didn't look good. Which was really kind of scary because that's like the Pacers. I mean, OKC kind of played a perfect game almost, it seemed like. But they got the job done, so now you're going back to Indiana with a chance to take advantage in this series. So should be a long series now. But with last night specifically, Game 2 specifically, Pacers just aren't the same team when Halliburton's when he's not aggressive offensively as a scorer, when he's not at least attempting to be a threat as a scorer. It doesn't unlock a lot of the spacing and shot creating abilities for the other guys because it's not like they have a bunch of tough shot makers. It's not like they got a bunch of Kyrie Irvings. The reason that all of these guys are able to score a lot of points is because the offense flows in a way that multiple guys touch the ball in scoring positions or advantageous positions. And he didn't create a lot of those last night. And then the adjustments that Dagnall made for Shea offensively as a ball handler, they kind of took a page out of the Pacers' book. They kind of looked like the Pacers last night a bit. Just with the point of attack offensively with Shea and getting downhill, forcing drop coverage, forcing them to scramble. Pretty much the entire game, it felt like they were scrambling to rotate and try to stay with OKC in the half court, and they weren't able to do it. So they got the job done, but I'm still excited to see what Indiana is able to do now with a level series here going to the home floor. You're right, though. You go on the road, you just want one. You'd love to have two, but you just want that one. It still feels like it's kind of advantage Pacers until it isn't. Yeah. Until the Thunder get it done. Halliburton's got to be a scorer, though, Mike. When he scores 20-plus points, they're 7-1 this playoff series, but he also averages 11 assists in those games in which he scores 20-plus. So he creates everything for them, and he has to go be that creator. And right now he's got Lou Dort in front of him. He's going to have to learn how to adjust. Lou Dort is the perfect defender for NBA playoff basketball. So, all right, there you go. That's Roman on the NBA. You'll hear more of it this week. A couple things to get to before we get to you guys on the Big X text line. First, the University of Louisville's NIL department has been named NIL Program of the Year at the 2025 Athlete Con. I can't believe that this is an actual award that exists. It feels very strange that this is something that's given out, but hell yeah.
Shout out Dan Furman.
NIL Program of the Year. It's an honor for U of L to be recognized as the leading NIL program in the country, said Director of NIL and Partnership Services Zach McKay. At Louisville, we are dedicated to creating lasting partnerships because our student-athletes, sports, and brands that are mutually beneficial. And we are very lucky to have the city behind us supporting that same vision. In addition to U of L taking home the department award, Ashana Leverett of the Ladybirds won the award for Booster Platform NIL deal in the content creation competition. I've got no idea what any of.
Let's go.
I'm guessing she had like a specific video like for an NIL deal that was the best.
Once we get Taylon Kinney, we're getting that again.
That will help a lot. Who else did we land?
You see, he released his own beverage.
Taylon Kinney has his own beverage?
6-7 water. they released it on 6-7. It was.
Can you imagine being a high school kid and having your own water?
6-7 water?
What would Patrick Ryan's beverage of choice have been when you were starring on the Mallet Manual?
Ooh, it would have been it wouldn't have been water. It'd have been a more sugary sports drink for sure.
Gatorade from the powder pack.
Did you have your own like personal like signature like uniform eccentricity or anything like that?
Oh, my senior year. This is my senior year. I pitched like 15 innings my senior year. We had a really good staff. 1.81 team ERA, led the state. Anyway,
MBD.
but I wore like for a lot of games flip up glasses on the bench.
Ooh.
Those were my thing.
Like they were regular glasses and then sunglasses when you needed them to be?
No, they were sunglasses, and then you could like flip up the lenses to be like there's nothing in front of your eyes.
Oh, wow.
I had a Mountain Dew energy drink and a Snickers Crunch before every practice and game. I think my senior year, I could have had my own like candy crunch, like Mike Rutherford Crunch,
Could be like a combo, like a.
something like that. Yeah, Mountain Dew Crunch.
At least
bar.
they're like Thornton's, like you get those for $1 or something.
Yeah.
When you buy them together.
I could have,
something.
I could have easily had an NIL deal with that Speedway over there by Trinity. I think I stopped there every single day. I could have been like, this is the only place that I ever get gas in the city. It's fueled me to my 2-0 record with a 2.89 ERA.
I think that double would have went all the way to the wall.
I crushed a double all the way to the fence. Fun fact about that, definitely did not hit a double on that pitch that was in that picture. I think I popped up to right. My dad was very quick to point that out over the weekend when I saw it after I posted that picture. That was the same game. We beat PRP when they're number one. Second, I back when newspapers were a thing, I would grab the sports section before I left for school, and I'd read it in the morning before class started. And we'd beaten PRP, and it was like the front page story on the CJ Sports section. And like the second paragraph, it was like it scored Mike Rutherford in the 7th inning. And I was like, hell yeah. And then right afterward, like Rutherford reached base on an error. I was like, you didn't have to say that. I was like, you didn't have to be in the second paragraph. The whole city's reading about me getting on base, but not base hit.
But yeah, like
Not cool.
but Taylor Kinney, his thing is the 6-7, and
Okay.
it is such a like niche thing that like if he does like come here, hopefully
It's going to be all over the city.
it's gonna be, but there's gonna be such a large contingent of the fan base that just doesn't get the joke.
Isn't it partially a niche thing? Like
I don't get the joke.
No,
it blew up because of his lisp, I thought, Patty.
Okay, so it's
Like the whole thing is that he was saying like 6-7.
But everything that's being discussed now frightens and scares. I have no idea what any of this means.
okay, so
Wait till Mike sees the artist of the song.
there started to be a
I don't even know what that means. So there's a song?
There's
6-7 is a song lyric.
there started to be a thing where it was like unexpected edits. Like it'd be like an interview, and then a player would say something, and then that would be a lyric to a song. It dropped straight into a song. It'd be an edit.
Okay.
So then the joke became players like purposely, especially on that, like because he's OTE, they'd have that big TikTok thing with overtime,
Sure.
and the thing became athletes are like saying song lyrics on purpose to try to get one of these edits. So then it became a thing where there's this one song where it's like 6-7 and like drops straight into a
I've
beat.
seen that people are trying to get teachers to like say the number 67 and stuff
Yeah,
like
so
that.
then he became like the poster child of like saying 6-7 all the time, any chance he got. Like they'd be like, how many points do you think you're gonna get tonight? Like 6, 7, and then he became like that to the point where he has his own 6-7 water.
Interesting. Okay. This is
I'd say we could play the song, but we can't.
we can. That's fine. By the way, these awards were given out at AthleteCon, which is was designed as a collaborating intersection for brands, content creation experts, and top athlete creators. So there we go. Look, it may like frighten and confuse me. It's clearly a very big deal in today's landscape of college athletics, and we're clearly doing very well. So this is good news. You expect like having success like this as well with what we've seen from baseball the last couple of weeks. They're probably gonna get some endorsements out of this. Eddie King Jr. becomes very marketable. Zion Rose, it's a last name that opens the doors for a number of potential NIL deals. So I think you'll only see more things go. Will only go onward and upward. I think Louisville also is going to keep evolving. Could a general manager be next for men's basketball? Perhaps. Stuff like that. I think could somebody be stepping into that position with football or a similar position in football? Possibly. Could he be somebody who's known to bark a little bit? Maybe. Maybe. We'll find out maybe this week. Could I have to delete a lot of tweets here again, relatively soon? It's possible. A lot of stuff going on right now at U of L. One of the things that also was going on over the past couple of days, I guess technically today, the men's basketball team, you've got everybody in town now besides the international players. Still waiting on that. They're signed. They're good to go. They just aren't quite here yet. Did you see some of the combine testing results from the men's basketball team that were out there today, Roman?
I did not.
So I'm going to read some of this real quickly. They don't have the actual numbers. They just have who had the best, okay? So in approach vertical jump, basically like you're moving forward and then you're jumping. Michael Brown Jr., number 1, highest approaching vertical jump. Number 2, tie, Kobe Rogers, Isaac McNeely. In standing vertical jump,
wow,
Kobe Rogers, number 1, Isaac McNeely, number 2. In NBA lane agility, Michael Brown, number 1, Ryan Conwell, number 2. And then in three-quarter sprint, Isaac McNeely, number 1, Kobe Rogers, number 2. You know what? I mean, I get the sense that Isaac McNeely is sneaky athletic out there.
Not sneaky. It really doesn't sound like.
It's sneaky athletic.
It's sneaky.
The other guys are athletic.
It's sneaky.
Isaac McNeely all winter long, every game. You know, he's a little bit of a sneaky athlete out there. Very cerebral player. Don't get me wrong. He's like another coach out there on the floor. Great shooter. He's not just a spot-up shooter, though, folks.
He's first guy in, last guy out.
Sneaky athletic. Just reminds me of the Pat Connaughton where he had like a 63-inch vertical. He's like, can people stop calling me sneaky athletic? Isaac McNeely, not sneaky athletic, just athletic. I'm still surprised. Like,
Kobe Rogers is an athlete too.
he and Kobe Rogers are. I mean, Kobe Rogers, you kind of knew. You'd heard that he was very athletic. I'm still surprised to see Isaac McNeely quite this high when it comes to standing vertical and approach vertical. But Michael Brown, he's checking the boxes that you need to check to be a high-level NBA draft pick, Roman.
He is, Mike.
I think the approach vertical is the one they care about more in the NBA anyway.
Well, yeah, because you're not going to be.
Especially for guards. Yeah, you're not.
Yeah. Like NFL, they do the more standing vert. The NBA cares more about the approach. From the scouts I talked to.
That's what I was going to say. Patrick Ryan hitting up the scouts here. I tell you what, there are a couple of topics to get to, but you guys have been patient on the Big X text line. Let's get to you guys now. 502-414-1450. It's a day of celebration. You deserve to celebrate as well. Let us know what's going through your mind. If anybody would like to apologize, too. People are taking apologies out there. I saw, Cooper Biven, Tucker's brother, was like, hey, anybody want to apologize right now because of all the things you said about the pitching staff? And a lot of U of L fans were like, hand raise gif. I'll say this, though. If they'd pitched the way that they pitched this weekend during most of it, nobody would have been critical. Like, there was no reason to apologize. The numbers speak for themselves. We did walk more players than any other pitching staff in the ACC, and it wasn't close this year. And we were 12th out of 16 teams in team ERA. But, hey, having a healthy number 1 starter back, that helps. Figuring out who your best arms are at clutch times, that helps as well. And those guys really, really have stepped up over the last 6 games. Texas says, hey, Mike and Roman. Look at this, right? Leading right into it. I've been critical of the baseball team's performance at the end of the season, so it's only fair to give them the credit that they deserve. What a glorious postseason run it's been so far. Elite-level pitching, timely hitting, go Cards. That's been the key. I mean, look, we talked about going into the postseason when we were kind of saying, hey, let's wait until all the data's out there before we make any sweeping statements. This team could go on a run. When we were saying those types of things about the team potentially going on a run, I think we all sort of had the vision of at least a handful of games where you're winning like 14-10, like the FSU-Oregon State game last night. We thought we were going to have to outslug some teams. We haven't gotten the explosive offense yet. Now, they hit it very well in game 1 against Miami, scored 8 runs, but we've not scored double-digit runs in any game so far in this regional, or in this tournament, I should say. And if you had told me we'd be talking about Omaha on June 9th, I would have said, well, there's at least a few games out there where we had to beat some teams like 17-12. You see those results even from good pitching teams in the postseason, but with the makeup of this squad being so reliant on the offense to be successful down the stretch this season, it's almost shocking. and a little bit encouraging that we've gotten this far without the offense just going absolutely nuts. I mean, we weren't great with runners in scoring position this weekend. We kind of thrived off the long ball. And that's, like Sean was saying when we had him on, that's typically not a recipe for success when you get to Omaha. But the good thing is we've not relied on the long ball this entire season. Like, we've had some guys, we've got a good top to bottom order when it comes to just hitting for average. And we've got some guys that should be able to find some gaps. And if the pitching can do what it has done the past couple of weeks, they're absolutely a live shot. I don't know what the odds are right now. We still got a couple spots to be earned. Is it just Duke and Murray State tonight? Is that the last spot?
I think DraftKings has it out with us at like plus 1,500.
Okay.
And then Arkansas obviously favored it at like plus 200.
I assume that makes us like the second to last choice or so, or maybe
I think
last
it was
choice.
sixth.
Yeah. But when you look at the left side of the bracket, like the pod that we're going to be in, because for anybody unfamiliar with the format, it's essentially like the regional tournament format where it's 4-team double elimination tournament, and then it's the super regional format where it's a best of 3 between the two teams that make it out of those two pods. I mean, our pod, not nearly as difficult as it could have been if you're looking at it just from how good these teams have been the entire season. Coastal Carolina is a very good team, but that's still, they're not a power conference powerhouse. They're a national seed.
23 wins in a row right now.
Very good, but
first-year head coach, too.
I think he's the biggest talent in the SEC. You're avoiding that a little bit. Arizona knocked off North Carolina, a team that we're very familiar with. They're now on our side. We've run into Arizona in the postseason before, and it's not gone particularly well. But they weren't. They're like us, not a national seed. And then you get Oregon State, who's very good, but have they played a challenging enough schedule? Oregon State baseball, they don't have the Pac-12 anymore. They kind of had to play a who's who out there on the West Coast. Are they battle-tested enough for a team like Louisville? Well, we'll find out on Friday afternoon.
Did they play in a conference tournament?
They did. Well, they're a member of the West Coast Conference, right?
I knew they did that in basketball.
For this year, and then they're going to the new Pac-12. But they're still kind of a man without a country. Now, they schedule the best teams in the West Coast for their non-conference series, but still, it's not like they're technically not a power conference program right now. So if you're looking for reasons for optimism, there's some that are out there for sure. Boxcar Bob says, choo-choo, MFers. Boxcar Bob here, riding the rails to Omaha. Question, during the game Friday, the announcers mentioned something like Miami starting pitcher specialized in ground balls, as in a lot of batters he faced would often hit ground balls when making contact. Is that a thing? How do you even practice something like that as a pitcher? Yeah, you got ground ball pitchers and you got fly ball pitchers. It basically is like the direction of if your ball sinks, you're more likely to be a ground ball pitcher. If you throw like a rising fastball, kind of like Patrick Forbes, you're going to get more fly balls. I was a fly ball pitcher back in the day. I don't know, what were you, Patrick? Did you say get guys out pitcher?
Yeah. Command guy.
I got a lot of pop-outs. That was my go-to. But, yeah, it's basically like the guys who rely on sinkers or fastballs that are going to kind of dip in the zone, they're going to get more ground balls. Guys who throw hard, rising fastballs, they're going to get more fly balls.
Just because when it sinks, you're more likely to get on top of it.
Yeah.
And when it rises, you're more likely to get under it.
Like the kid we faced yesterday was a big-time ground ball pitcher. In the first 3 innings, I was like, oh, my God. I was like, I'll take a pop-out now. Just know that we can get under the ball a little bit here. Texas said, I'm excited. Baseball's back. Not just making the College World Series, but the ability to reboot the program and hopefully take some stress off the past few years. McDonald seemed to reference fundraising and asking why he had to knock on doors recently and seemed bothered by it. Do you know what he was referring to there? I mean, the same things that he's been talking about recently. He feels like the program doesn't have enough money. They've taken a lot of the funds that were earmarked for stadium projects, and they've taken that and put it towards NIL. But, yeah, baseball's just not – attendance has been down because the team's been down in recent years. That hasn't helped with revenue either. So they feel like they deserve more money because they've been a championship-caliber program for 2 decades now. And hopefully going on this run and maybe being able to do some more damage in Omaha will help out financially. I think that's his hope. All right, we got to go to a break here. 4 o'clock hour is up next. Is that right? I'm just making sure we're okay here. We'll take more texts after the break. 502-414-1450. Back after this on the Big X.
502. With Rashawn Myers every Saturday morning from 9 until
Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Reminder, United Mechanical, they are Louisville's MVP for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration services. Give them a call today at 502-339-1133. It's our guy Corey over there. Anytime, any day, answering those damn phones. We got Roman Kelly in the house. As always, Patrick Ryan is here as well as we celebrate Louisville's ticket punched to the College World Series in Omaha. Cards will take on Oregon State in their CWS Open. That's going to be a 2 o'clock first pitch on the East Coast. ESPN will have the TV coverage. Cards in a pod now that is set. Louisville, Oregon State, Arizona, and Coastal Carolina. Other side, only one spot open. I'm so ready to make the joke about Kentucky teams all making the College World Series if Murray State wins tonight. It'll be Murray State-Duke in a winner-take-all Game 3 tonight. Murray State would be a crazy story.
Nick Shuddy, Game 1 starter.
On the flip side, though, if Duke loses, we're the only team from the ACC still going strong, which would be a little bit crazy as well, especially after all the crap talking we did directed towards the SEC. But whatever. We're feeling good.
Well, Miami would have beat anybody else.
Miami would have beaten anybody else in the tournament besides us. There's no question about that. Chris Dominguez had them going. They were ready to go. They were acting like Chris Dominguez was the head coach all weekend long on the TV broadcast. And I'm not typically one to do the whole, like, it feels like they're rooting for the other side. But it's a little bit more difficult when the color commentator played for Miami, and you kind of sense some stuff going in. The one thing that I got upset about with the announcers this weekend, my dad was, like, very upset. He's like, oh, Mike. He's like, talk about the damn game. It's my dad's go-to every single time. But on Sunday, so you had the controversial call on Saturday, which, let's be honest, we would have spent a lot more time talking about today if we had lost yesterday, the controversial foul ball call on Saturday. And, I mean, I did think it was noteworthy. I mean, the three of us, we were together back in the left field. We've got no view of what's going on. We're 350 feet away, which I do love the people in the outfield complaining about balls and strikes calls where it's like, come on! It's like we've got no angle whatsoever as to what's going on.
I pulled it up on my phone to try to replay it.
We're looking at Twitter. We're trying to find out what's going on. Nobody from U of L really argued too strenuously besides Tag Davis, who caught it. But it was clearly, and there's no great camera angle for the play, at least live. And then Sunday, they're talking about the call. So you've got a ball that's hit in play to the first baseman by us. And it's clearly in play. Miami first baseman, who's only like 5'10", which was weird, I thought. Steps on first base. Our fans give like the Bronx cheer, or like we boo, where it's like, come on, like clearly it should have been a foul ball. And the announcers recognize that, and they're like, Louisville fans still a little bit upset about the call that went against them yesterday, and it was clearly a foul ball. It was clearly foul. Just completely dismissing that there was any controversy whatsoever. So the next inning, they show a previously unseen view. I don't know where this footage came from. It was like grainy, like Zapruder film, but it was right up the first baseline. And he's like, the play-by-play guy's like, and as you'll see right here, well, in that look, it kind of looks like it is a fair ball there. I was like, stop! You can't say it was clearly foul and then show this mysterious hidden footage where at best it looks debatable. That went from being, that play and then Kamayu Neighbors getting picked off second base with the bases loaded and 2 out, which still made the second straight weekend where he's just done something running the base. It's like, what are you trying to gain here? Why are you a million miles off that base? Those were the two plays that we would have spent a ton of time talking about. On the flip side, the breaks yesterday, we got a couple. I mean, the pitching staff, there were times where Justin West struggled to find the zone. When he first came in, Schweitzer struggled to find the zone.
Yeah.
And
once Schweitzer got Cuvée out, I was like, oh, he's going to roll.
Yeah, same. Too. I'm like, this is Trinity pitching alums, Patrick. This is what we do. We're built for this. We're built for these moments. We're Bulldogs. And I was just like you. I'm like, he's been in this situation before. He's not a real freshman. He's ready to go. And then he just loses it. He cannot find the zone at all. We get bases loaded, 1 out. And you feel like, man, we had this exact same opportunity just a minute ago. Garrett Pike strikes out. Zion bounces out. We didn't take advantage. Now they're going to take advantage. And, I mean, extremely hard-hit ball by the Miami kid. I think they said it was like 112 off the bat. Schweitzer makes an unbelievable play.
Flips it like a shortstop. Like he's played shortstop his whole life.
For a second there, I was like, is that going to be enough time? Like, get a little more oomph behind that. Maybe give like a sidearm throw or shove. And thankfully, Matt Klein's able to make the throw to first. Like, that, to me, is the play of the weekend.
Davis did not get enough credit on that
Incredible stretch!
Stretch, like, had to go into the base path, which is, like, the toughest catch to make there. He's, like, backhanding it, like, stretching into the baseline after the runner runs through. It almost airmailed into the outfield and scored two.
It was a dicey moment. On the replay, I don't think I realized how close it was. But Tate Davis' stretching is kind of remarkable. Like he's very, very flexible.
The other thing about that foul ball play is like you see the pictures of him like with the crazy like looking at the umpire crazy. When did he lose his hat on that play?
The hat gets knocked off at some point when he starts complaining about it. But yeah, we get that break, and then like Zion Rose's the game-winning hit like could have been caught. Like I think it hits the glove of the center fielder, gets down just enough, and it goes down as a double. But
it was Eddie, right? The go-ahead was Eddie.
Thank you. Yeah. Eddie King Jr.'s go-ahead double. Could have easily been caught. Like, he could have made a play on that. The inches went our way on Sunday in a way that they didn't on Saturday. I thought also, like, the first strike, the home plate umpire was wildly inconsistent. The zone kind of widened a little bit there at the end when our guys were struggling, and then it got closer when they got better. It was like, come on, man. We don't have circumstantial strike zones. The strike zone stays the same. They did it with Miami when they were struggling on Friday a little bit too, where it was like, oh, yeah, we'll give them the 3-0 strike. I'm like, no, it's not the way that it works. It's a ball. A ball's a ball. But when all's said and done, we're a game better than mine. It was always cards in 3. I told you when we were leaving. It was always cards in 3. It was always going to be. No question about it. 502-414-1450. Texter says, this is Scootator. Mike, tell Fratty Patty to get off his phone. We need him at full focus. Also, shout out to the view of Little Howard. Oh, I guess you can see Little Howard.
Let's go.
The TV got shut off here. Roush had.
Oh, that was my foot.
I said TV. I meant the computer here. Roush had once again had like woo-saw, like calming YouTube videos on when I walked in. I'm like, is Roush just getting super anxious during the show? Does he need some sort of like calming? Someone talking to him? I got to back up now. You can see Little Howard. You got Little Howard with the hat on. You got the DeJuan Wheat poster. Thank God, because all you can see behind me is that stupid TJ's Brett Favre poster. There were more than a few people who reached out, including former Rutherford Show legend Trevor Kelsey, to say, like, you need to go at TJ pretty hard because he gets really riled up about baseball talk. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. But then somebody did send me a Card Chronicle reader who I don't think, like, a lot of people who read Card Chronicle don't listen to the radio show and know the background. So I don't know if this person knew that like I have a direct relationship, but sent me the KSR story that one Nick Roush wrote following our loss to Bellarmine just a mere 3 weeks ago, which ends with the line, "What a twist of fate. Congrats to the Bellarmine Knights. One hell of a night to spoil Louisville's season." Feels pretty good right now.
Page out of the roll call book.
TJ that night tweeted like the best baseball in Louisville's played in the Highlands.
Yeah.
It's great trolling.
Page out of the roll call book. Take out your second and second.
All that matters right now, though, is the state of baseball is thriving outside the University of Kentucky.
Can you see Joker Phillips and they're behind Jonathan India and Lodolo.
We got to get India down. India's got to get Lodolo can stay. Yeah, don't mess with it now. Just leave the baseball right there. It's fine. I don't want to mess with anything right now. We're in the College World Series. Leave him up, Patrick. Leave him up. Don't change anything right now. We're not messing. We got to keep the good juju going. Little Howard's right there. That autographed UK ball is up there. We got the G-Men poster, which that's like the most forgettable U of L team of all time. I don't know why we have that up there. Shout out to Rashad Brooks, though.
What year was that, G-Men?
I think that's the year we lost to Gonzaga in the first. So 99, I think, is if I had to guess. I can't see the other. I think Rashad Brooks was a senior on that team.
So if they would have made the Final Four,
so 2000.
If they would have made the Final Four, it would have been like this. Denny Crumb's what this team is for Dan McDonnell.
Yeah, kind of. But they
didn't.
They lost to Gonzaga in the first round.
Like if we would have went 2 and out, this team would have been that.
Yeah, no question about it. Texas said, I hope Omaha is ready for this fan base to consume Jell-O shots the way they consume college basketball and bourbon.
I'm a little worried about the Jell-O shots.
I kind of am too.
I think we're gonna get. I don't know if embarrassed, but I think we're the least, like, fan base wise. I think we kind of need Duke or Murray State to win, so we can kind of, or maybe Oregon State. I don't know. LSU has the Canes guy, just donates a bunch of money. The Jell-O shot, it started cool. Now it's a scam.
It's 100% a scam.
First of all, so like they got that guy. So LSU, we got them to worry about. Arkansas, I assume we have all the Tyson chicken nuggets are gonna donate a bunch of money, and it's just gonna apparently, like, people just walk in and can just take a plate full of Jell-O shots that, like, are earmarked for LSU because they donated so much money.
That's
so that
how it
people
works.
just take in and just leave.
So I mean, it's basically
scam.
it's a fundraiser for this bar. So they will take, like, if you wanted to just have your, it's like anything else. It's a money spending contest at this point. If you want your team to like get credit for the most, all you have to do, like, we don't even have to be there. If we had Big X money, we could say, like, let's take this Big X $50,000, and we could buy $50,000 worth of Jell-O shots that would go to Louisville's name, and those would all go up on the board, even if they're not consumed by Louisville fans.
Yeah, they just go to anybody.
Yeah, they're just like free Jell-O shots now.
If I lived in Omaha, I'd be there the whole week. Just, it'd be awesome. But yeah, like, Arkansas is gonna, LSU, like, don't they always win because the
It's
Kansas
I feel like
guy?
it's an SEC school. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's whoever spends the most money.
Like Coastal, they'll be all right. I don't know. We could probably come top 5.
Well, it also depends on how long you stay there, because
Yeah.
it's a event long you're So if you're 2 and out, then your fans are probably not going to be there for like the next Monday. So the longer you're there, the better chance you have of racking up the Jell-O shots. We did. I mean, the story that's out there from Sunday is, noon first pitch. It's a Sunday. They were like, we've had 2 games here already. They didn't have the beer properly stacked for Louisville fans who were needing to drink away those nerves of a winner-take-all super regional final. So they had to call Churchill Downs in like the 4th inning to bring over some of the beer for them to stock up Jim Patterson. I guess maybe pleasantly surprised isn't the way to say it. There were so many people drinking like 11 a.m. beers on Saturday. And then you saw, every crowd shot, like everyone is just chugging beers at 12:30 on Sunday. It's like, that's what we do. It's postseason baseball. We're back. Texter says, Cards baseball caused boners in church to explode by 110% yesterday. This is accurate.
Boners in church.
Church boners. Some would say the worst kind of boners. It's tough. You're just like, oh my God, the Nicene Creed's coming up here. I gotta get this bad boy to go down. It's gonna be a tough look for me.
How do I get to the top of this place?
That's the other thing that I'm thinking about. Lions fan John said, glad that I was wrong about the pitching staff. Hard to explain the quick turnaround by the staff. The vibes are good. Excuse me. College World Series ratify weather. Your dad unblocked me on Twitter. All is good. Yeah, Dad accidentally blocked the wrong. Like, Lions fan John hit me up and was like, your dad just blocked me on Twitter. I was talking about somebody else. So then I had to hit him up. So then this causes an issue for me. I send my dad the screenshot, and I'm like, hey, I think you blocked the wrong guy. And my dad goes, how do I unblock? I was like, oh, God. Thankfully, it seems like he figured it out. So that's good. We got the Riddler's back. Here we go. Replacement Riddler is back after throwing Dan in a locker. I didn't mean to go for his throat. That one was too much of a shocker. Yeah, on the podcast, he did a riddle for Dan. It was like a
07 soccer player.
2007 soccer player who went to New Zealand. I was like, I Googled it to find it out, but I was like, yeah.
When I heard it, I thought it'd be like a punter that like played soccer in New Zealand after, which would have been like gettable if we had one of those.
It was like a soccer player he basically was just trying to embarrass Danny on the podcast.
He ended up on like the 2010 Australian national team, Roman. Like, there's no way you know who it is.
Yeah. So I didn't mean to go for his throat. That one was too much of a shocker. Next time you guys pod, I'll lob him a softball. Now for this week's riddle subject from a famous brawl. Our hero capitalized on a bench-clearing fight in an unusual Metro Conference rivalry. 2 birds in flight. A cocky fan took a crooked cheap shot. Mr. Beans got lucky. The retaliation was stopped. But the damage was done. The nose was bloody. The makeshift lineup came in. 3 centers, 1 his study buddy. The hero's clutch shot sent the game to overtime and silenced the crowd, sending the Garnet and Black fans packing, no longer loud. Once from an Indiana town with a big amphitheater, he moved on from Louisville to become a company leader. Today he's an executive making the multi-billion-dollar sale Who is this player that fought alongside Louisville's biggest fail? So this is a reference to the Louisville South Carolina fight from. I think the Riddler had another reference to a fight that I thought was the Louisville South Carolina fight. So this was 1988. I think that the Louisville's biggest fail was that a Jerome Harmon reference. I think Jerome Harmon was involved in this.
Who's the executive?
You can't remember the shot that went to overtime, Mike?
I remember was it Jeff Hall? It's the shot that sends it over. We win in double overtime. It takes 2 OTs to win the game, and there is like a fan gets involved. Who was the player who throws the? So we get hit first, and Craig Hawley was involved somehow. I know that. I don't know what reference in that is about Craig Hawley. Herb Crook, I think, gets cracked.
What's he doing these days?
I don't know, but
He feels like he could be an executive.
I mean, Purvis Ellison is into it as well. That's the. I mean, so who's this a reference? Who's the? He moved on from Louisville to become a company leader. Today's an executive making the multi-billion-dollar sale.
Herbert Crook is with sales at Coca-Cola. I'm looking at his link.
I mean, Herb Crook is the guy who gets punched to start the entire fight, and then it's on at that point. So I don't know if that's a reference to Herb Crook, or are we trying to are we trying to talk about the shot by? I said Jeff Hall, not Jeff Hall. I'm getting my white guys confused. I mean, Craig Hawley hit the shot to send it to overtime, and then we went in double overtime. So, okay, I'm going to do some Googling now. Is Craig Hawley an executive now making big-time deals? Yes. Well, there is a Craig Hawley who now works for Nationwide Financial. This looks like him on his LinkedIn picture. Is he? I'm trying to find the bio. I don't want to have to log in. See if he went to the University of. Yep, he went to Brandeis. Shout out to Brandeis, U of L Law School, and played basketball. Craig Hawley's the answer.
Is he from an Indiana town with a big amphitheater?
I assume so.
What is that, Lincoln City?
No idea. You had to have Googled that if that's accurate.
They've got a lot of amphitheaters in Indiana, Mike.
Lincoln City. He worked for White Terry and Combs. Good for Craig Hawley. I have no idea where Craig Hawley is from.
My dad says he's from Noblesville, and usually he's locked up with the hometowns in the 80s. And Noblesville is
Craig Hawley's the answer.
Noblesville, I believe that's where Deer Creek Amphitheater is, where I've been. Seen fish. I
was saying, Jerome Harmon, that Louisville's biggest fail is going to be a reference to Kenny Payne. Kenny Payne's on this team. I'm guessing, I don't know this as a fact, I'm guessing he is one of they said we had to go with like a 3 big lineup. I'm guessing Kenny Payne was one of the people that had to keep playing after this. The whole video, you can find that game on YouTube. Like, I've watched that fight video a number of times. But it's great. Yeah, I mean, Herb Crook gets cracked to start it and then starts fighting back. And Hawley hits the shot. I mean, it's a miracle that we won that game.
But yeah, Noblesville, Deer Creek Amphitheater.
So Craig Hawley's the answer. I'm trying to figure out, because he's going to come back with the, like, what parts of this did we miss? Makeshift lineup. 3 centers, 1 his study buddy. I've got no idea who his study buddy was. Heroes clutch shots in the game in overtime, silenced the crowd. One's from an Indiana town with big amphitheater, moved on to Louisville's company leader. Today's an executive. Yeah, Craig Hawley. Good one, really. Well done. Text that I watched the W on Friday from my couch, went to the game on Saturday, and met Miller Moss and Pete Niagara. Such great dudes taking pics with fans and smashing beers on home runs. Oh, I like that. Also, Miami smacked a foul ball into their team bus and won to the hood of a Mercedes. Ran it back on Sunday, got the W. Stellar weekend. Go Cards. I don't know if you all were over here when that happened, when their team bus got drilled with a foul ball. It was bad. It was very loud.
Yeah, I was on the first baseline most of both days I was there.
I knew a car got hit. I didn't realize it was a Mercedes. props to Miller Moss and Pete Nigris, just smashing beers on home runs. Welcome to Louisville, doing it well. Roman, you got a chance to say hi to Adrian Woolley, right?
I did.
How's he looking? Was he looking confident?
He was looked like he was trying to figure out where the people he was supposed to be with were. Maybe looking a little lost, maybe. But I saw him talking to some fans, so I said, "What's up to him?" Told him good luck this season.
Why did somebody just text in a link to Nature's Dessert? What is this? Are we getting spam texts? No, I mean this person texted. He said Zion Rose had a family business before he arrived on campus, and it's Nature's Dessert with 2 Z's. Nature's Dessert is dedicated to ensuring you are given the finest skincare products on the market by using organic ingredients and essential oils. This is a Zion Rose company. These are female products. It is Chicago-based, and he's from Chicago. Props to Zion Rose. Getting it done. Roman, what are you sending me?
I've gotten a couple texts about this in the last half hour.
You can tell him yes. That spread very quickly. Yes is the answer. Boxcar Bob said, what are your feelings on wearing sports-specific U of L gear to watch a U of L game that is not of that sport, i.e. wearing a U of L football shirt to watch a U of L basketball game? Does it matter, or is it bad juju? I think it's fine.
Doesn't matter at all.
I've got no issue whatsoever. So I actually, a few weeks ago, I was at Rally House. I was taking back a shirt that unfortunately is too small for me these days. I was just going to exchange. And they had a very cool Louisville baseball shirt, but they only had it in small and extra large. It made me realize I don't think I have a Louisville baseball shirt, period. I know I used to, but it got ripped. It was from 2007, 2008, that era. So I don't have a Louisville. Patrick's wearing his baseball jersey today. I don't have any U of L baseball gear. So I just rock normal U of L gear. But if all I had that was clean was a U of L basketball shirt, I wouldn't have felt bad wearing that.
Yeah. I got this jersey whenever the ACC tournament was at Slugger Field for my birthday, and I went to all the games.
There you go. Texas, I came in the middle of that discussion. Did I hear a certain K9 in the East may become a football GM? Since this is already making its rounds pretty quickly. It's palpable buzz that I may have to delete a bunch of tweets here at some point this week. Texas sounds dumb asking this question, but can you please convince me that Ali Khalifa at 6'11" can dunk? I've watched a lot of highlights of him at BYU and never saw him dunk once. Louisville posted some practice highlights of him last week and did not see him dunk in any. I know that he's known more for his court vision and passing and shooting abilities, but it does make me wonder if he can dunk at all. It only took about 2 seconds of watching highlights from Fru, Vangelis, and Mohamed Kamara to see them all slamming. I think Ali will be a crucial depth piece that we really need, but I really question if he'll make an impact against really athletic teams like Duke last year, or if he'll become more of a 10 to 15 minute a game guy with Fru, Pryor, and Hadley getting the majority of front court minutes. I do think he'll knock down some open threes, but I want to see him at least dunk. Roman, do you think Ali Khalifa can dunk?
Got a BYU Cougars short on YouTube right now of him dunking.
Okay,
from the high post, number 50.
Took you 2 seconds to find it.
Dunking in a BYU jersey. I was going to answer. I went to go look up. I've watched him dunk in the Charlotte jersey. I know he had a couple dunks in that highlight reel, but first thing I looked up is him dunking in a BYU jersey with his at his oversized, out of shapeness.
My U button's not working on my keyboard, so I can't type in dunk on Twitter.
Ali Khalifa.
Type in Ali Khalifa dunk on YouTube.
That's what I can't. My U button's not working on my keyboard. It's driving me crazy.
DNK. It's got to work, right?
Ali Khalifa, according to stats, had 1 dunk.
At BYU?
That's what I'm saying.
The 1 dunk? They have a reel of it.
That was Fat Ali, though.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to be like Montrez this year now that he's dropped 25 pounds of baby weight. But we have confirmation. Ali Khalifa can dunk.
Just sent it to you guys.
Here's a quote from Ali Khalifa on his dunk this was January 13th, 2024. BYU survived a big UCF comeback, got its first Big 12 win. Ali Khalifa quoted on his dunk. Nobody expected that, obviously. Nobody in the whole world, I guess. Many more to come. And then he didn't dunk anymore, it sounds like.
He has yet to dunk since then. To this day.
Here's the highlight video of it. It said, I kid you not, I turned to my kids right before this and said, next time Khalifa gets the ball and sitting him at 3 or passing, he should fake and take a big step toward the hoop and dunk. This is a legit dunk.
Yeah, he got up.
He kind of posterizes somebody. He baptizes this guy from UCF a little bit. So yeah, definitely can dunk. But
yeah, one dribble. Wow.
The fact that there's like 75 tweets about this just goes to show that this was a rarity during his time out there in Provo. Texter says, Mike, I take full credit for the win yesterday. My wife decided that it was time for lovemaking when the score was 2-2. I finished up when it was 3-2. You are all welcome. First, congrats on the sex. Second of all, thank you for making that happen.
Gotta ask, Mike.
Yeah?
You're in front of the TV. It's 2-2. Kids are stimulated, and, what do you do in this situation?
I mean, circumstances matter. My quick response is I'm not having sex. It's a big moment. But if it's been like too long and this is the only opportunity in a while, then maybe. Also, if it's like sixth inning and it's 2-2, maybe we can get that thing. But if it's like eighth inning, then I'm saying no. First of all, Mary also would just be like, we're watching the game. She's not going to step away when it's 2-2 in the eighth inning either. So I feel like we'd be on the same page there. 80% of the time, I'm turning it down to watch the rest of the game. Been married for 10 years. We're not going anywhere.
And had sex at least twice.
At least twice. That's how you know. At least twice. Texas 2000 when we lost to Gonzaga, who, like Arkansas this past March, beat 2-seed St. John's in the round of 32. Yeah, we aided Gonzaga's little jump start as a program. They went to the Elite Eight the year before. People were like, oh, is it a flash-in-the-pan program? They beat. The other thing that I remember of that game, outside of Rashad Brooks wedging a layup in the closing seconds, which made me laugh, was we were the last game of the day to play on that Thursday. And afterwards, we were the only upset of the first day of the NCAA tournament statistically, like based on seeding. And I just remember like the staff for the CBS, the crew, they were like, the only one upset today, Gonzaga, and that's not even really an upset. I was like, damn, it was salt in the wound at the end of a tough day. Those were the lean years. Back-to-back first-round losses, and then no NCAA tournament again until 2003. Not great. Let's take a break. When we come back, a couple nuggets to get to. More from you guys on the Big X text line. There's one thing that a couple people have texted on that we have to talk about that we have not talked about yet. We'll get to that after the break. Keep it locked right here. This is the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Monday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Patrick Ryan, Roman Kelly here. As we roll on this celebratory Monday, Louisville punching its ticket to the College World Series for the 6th time in program history has demanded tons of our attention today. There are a couple of things out there that we have not talked about. One, I thought the vibes were off when I woke up on Sunday morning, because the first thing that I see is a million people sending me the story about Russ Smith getting arrested for DUI. And, you see the mugshot and you're like, oh, God, Russ, what are you doing? And then you start reading the details, and I think like everybody else, I got to the bottom, and I'm like, so wait, he wasn't above the legal limit. The legal limit's .08. He was like .07. Why is he getting arrested for DUI? And they go ahead and they explain that he failed some field sobriety tests, and it's officers apparently are within their discretion to arrest anybody who blows above a .04 if they feel like they're driving recklessly or had expired tags, all this stuff that's going on. Now, Russ is going to be represented by Steve Romines, who I'm sure will make this work as well as it possibly can for Russ, because that's what Steve Romines does. There are also direct ties with Steve Romines and multiple other people when it comes to this arrest and another very high-profile arrest in the past year. Romines represented Scotty Scheffler last year. The officer who arrested Russ Smith was the officer who didn't arrest Scotty Scheffler, but did drive him to the jail.
And Mirandized him and all that.
Gave him all that stuff, had the conversation, apparently leaked the videos. The videos that we've now all seen where he's asking, he's like, you're playing the PGA, you must be pretty good, right? And he's like, yeah, okay. And then he's like, and then he asked the follow-up, the great, I don't know anything about golf. Is Tiger as good as they say they are? One of the great all-time follow-ups of all time. That guy also was the one who arrested Russ Smith from over the weekend, Detective Kyle Willis, who said that he saw Russ with plates that expired in 2022, and his 2018 Maserati turned across several lanes and went onto a crosswalk. Russ afterwards claimed that he had had 2 bourbon pours neat before driving, and then blew the .073. So, should never drive if you've had drinks. It's not worth it. But probably not going to be a gigantic deal in the grand scheme of things. But not a great look for Russ. He's in New York Post has written about this now. It's all out there. People don't care about the fine details. But
I saw Peyton at the game Sunday.
What turn did he make?
Yeah, I
Is he
couldn't figure
in
it out
front
either.
of Jack Fry's and turning left to go in front of Walgreens, which is illegal, but people do that all the time.
That's my understanding.
If he did that with expired tags and looked reckless while he was doing it, I understand. I've watched people get pulled over for doing that exact turn while I'm sitting at the red light, and I've also watched hundreds of people just make that turn before. But you can't make those kind of turns with an expired tag.
You can't. It's silly, but like you said, that's not exactly it's not an abnormal turn.
No, not at all.
He's not the first person to do that.
That's what I think. I can't really figure out how they say he turned onto a crosswalk. I mean, there's a crosswalk at every intersection right there.
Yeah.
But if it's he had a red light and he turned left right there, then that's.
It's as you're making the U-turn, you get up on the sidewalk. Is that onto a crosswalk? Because every intersection has a crosswalk.
Exactly. So I'm thinking, if he was at a red light and he made that left turn right there and did that, okay, I understand. If it was a green light even, it's like you just wanted to get somebody at that point.
I don't know. But I thought I was going to throw the vibes off. Clearly it didn't, but I feel bad for Russ. This is unwanted national attention. I feel bad for Russ. Also, you can't do that.
I feel bad because this happened on Saturday night, didn't it? So that means he was in there all day yesterday?
Was it all day?
He was released without bail, and it will be officially arraigned June 11th.
Okay. Everybody's retweeting my old Big Dog tweets.
Yeah, I'm getting tweets about that. Yeah, texts about it.
I can't do anything about it while I'm on the air. Man, this thing spread like wildfire. Very, very quickly.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. Whatever. 502-414-1450 is the Big X text line. At this point, I've got no comment. That's my official statement on the matter. Mike Rutherford has no comment at this point in time. What do you want to say?
It's unfair, Mike.
What's unfair?
No comment right now?
I've got no comment at this time.
Okay. All right.
I'll give it. As long as we're not giving him the amount of money that was rumored we were going. And this is how badly the big dog wants out of Lexington. He's like, I don't care what you pay me. Just add me to your staff in some way, shape, or form. We'll do whatever we got to do to get out of this buyout. I don't want any money. I just want to work for Jeff Brom and not for Mark Stoops. They've tried this like 7 times over the past year.
My former Orlando Rage teammate.
That's Rage ties run deep. And also, the hatred to be on a sinking ship under Mark Stoops is also going to fuel you to make some.
He's jumping off the Titanic.
He is. Kenny Payne would have some thoughts, but it's probably the right move to jump off the Titanic.
At least, like, get a lifeboat off the Titanic. Maybe not jump.
I don't know what to say. My official statement is I trust Jeff and company. I don't like it. And if this happens and we have a bad season, I will 100% place the blame on somebody who probably doesn't deserve to have the blame placed on them, but I don't care. I'm going to do it.
It's 2026 recruiting class, though. It's going to...
2026 recruiting class is already fantastic.
It's going to get more fantastic. It's the big dog.
Big dog's not barking like he used to. Just saying. I'll change that tune coming up maybe in like 2 days.
He was coaching a 4-8 team.
He's not coaching.
He was a coach there.
Well, he's not going to be a coach
He was tight
here.
ends.
He's not going to. If he comes here, he won't be as an official coach. Texas says, did Russ Smith call you to bail him out of person after he got busted for a DUI? No, it was not on Russ's. His one call did not come to me. I wish it had. I would have been there for him. Texture says, Shallow Hal. As what?
Just Shallow Hal.
Why?
I don't know.
Just saying Shallow Hal?
I don't know. It just made me think of the long-time Shallow Hal Rutherford show topic. It made me laugh.
Yeah. Texas Mike, I had a thought, and I wanted to get some ideas, some help from you. Do you have any good ideas for how your listeners could coordinate a prank on KRC via the text line? I don't want to do this. I feel like, one, it's kind of annoying if they're trying to. This would be the time to do it. But if they're trying to do a serious radio show, I don't know if TJ would handle that well. I think Roush maybe would be okay with it. I feel like if it was something that like we organized that like kind of wrecked their show, I think
whenever the Vince Morrow news gets announced, the next KRC show, just tweet barking noise. Just text in barking noises.
But the thing is, TJ's gonna be happy.
Yeah, they probably both will be happy.
Yeah, I mean, if I were in their position, like I would be happy. I mean, what's he doing over there?
You'd probably prefer to get the buyout.
You would. They're not going to. That was my whole thing this entire time. I was like, if he really wants the big dog on staff, I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it as long as we're not paying him. I mean, he's making like $1.1 million over there, and he's got $1 million buyout. As long as we're not paying that, then I'm fine with that. And I think that there's been several opportunities. They've tried to make this happen, and I think the powers that be at U of L have been like, we cannot justify it.
And we need him a Twitter proofreader.
How about we just get him off social media?
Yeah, don't let him have his logins.
Take him out of the game.
Wait, everybody go right now. Try to every Coach Marrow U of L like Twitter. Just everybody go get him. Everybody make new accounts with Coach Marrow U of L. Every different combination, so that way he can't have a Twitter with his name and U of L in it. Right now, go. I'm tasking.
I will. I don't know. Again, if this happens, I don't know how much we'll pay Vince Marrow. I will handle his social media for 35% of whatever his salary is.
I'll do it for 34.
I'm actually okay with the $1 million buyout if $500,000 of that goes to me.
For your emotional distress, this is about to go.
Well, and to do social media stuff.
He'd be fighting with people under his name.
But I would be spelling my words correctly and doing it adequately.
You would get on Card Chronicle, tweet about him getting noticed for another job, and then you'd get on his Twitter and like put eye emojis on it.
Yeah, that's like 95% of the job. And also, like, don't tweet about recruits who are going to Tennessee when you're at your daughter's wedding. It's a tough look. It's tough to explain. But you know how you could explain it? I'm not handling that. Some 40-year-old I don't even know is doing it. This is gonna be a tough.
Tweet from Vince Marrow. Heard somebody out at Pete Dosh shot 79 today.
I got 4 79s over the weekend, by the way, at the game.
I witnessed one. Me and Roman witnessed one.
Yeah, it's coming up and saying 79.
No, somebody else walked by. I thought you were making it up.
I told you. Walking over the bridge past the football stadium, some guy walked past me because I'm walking slow, holding my son, and he's like 79. And then you did it, which I'm not counting, and then 3 other people just without. It's because it's my new favorite thing because they know just keep walking. They're like 79, and they just keep going 4 times. Everybody knows. Everyone's still talking about it.
I witnessed, and you lit up too.
Oh, it's my favorite thing.
You're like, oh yeah.
I mean, okay. So theoretically, if we got Vince Marrow on the show,
I was just about to say, what happens when he's on the show next month?
how do we handle this? Do we I don't know if Vince Marrow has any idea that I've been doing this for the past year.
I think he knows you. I think he knows all about it.
Well, he knows that it's a running. He has to know that people joke about him being involved in every job. I don't know if he knows you're the head honcho of it.
Here's what's not going to happen, okay? I'm getting out in front of this now. I don't care how much information Vince Marrow wants to feed me. I'll take it. I love having information. It's great. It's a big part of the job. If you start to see me earnestly tweeting about job opportunities for Vince Marrow out there, you have every right to call. Tell me to hang it up. Tell me if you see me next year being all of a sudden I've got great recruiting scoop, but I'm also hey, hearing that Trinity High School is looking at Vince Marrow to be the new head coach. Josh may have to dig in those pockets. A lot of people at U of L are worried that this is the job that finally gets the big dog off Floyd Street. Take me out. I will quit before I start doing that. I can be shameless. I cannot be that shameless. I won't do it. Not after I've made fun of every UK media person for doing the same incredibly easy to see through thing for the past 5 years.
You guys are going to be best buddies. I can see it already. You guys are going to text regularly.
Maybe Mike and the Big Dog. That can be like a weekly show.
Mike and Marrow.
Keith Lynn's going to lose his spot on Fridays.
Mike and Marrow.
I'm in a tough position. I'm in a tough position now. We're going to have to figure this thing out as we go. I mean, what if I'm just I can't have Vince Marrow on the show and just ask straight recruiting questions now and act like there's not, I haven't been making fun of you for the past 3 or 4 years.
Maybe you can do it before the show. Tell him.
Hey man, just don't Twitter search me. Just don't go.
Hey, so I'm going to ask you about every potential job you might have potentially had.
That'd be the best if you just went through your tweets and just were like, you ever think about that?
So Vince, give me some background. What you been up to recently? I don't know a whole lot about you.
Well, I heard there was some scuttle around January.
I don't know where you were coaching before this. Can you just you get the folks listening who may not know all that much about you, a little bit of background here. How'd you end up at Louisville? Anyways.
Ask him straight XFL questions.
All Youngstown State and Orlando Rage questions. Big X text lines 502-414-1450. Texture says, well done, Mike and team. Felton Spencer was Hawley's roommate. There you go. Thank you. That was in the Big 3 lineup against South Carolina. There you go. Thank you, Riddler. That was a good one. Texture says,
Felton Spencer was a substitute teacher of mine.
Was he really?
Pretty sure.
He coached.
R.I.P.
He coached me all the time at the he would help out at Bellarmine basketball camps randomly sometimes.
Speaking of people acting like they know who you were, I went to a Bellarmine practice when he was on the staff and was kind of talking to talk to the team, did some stuff, and they introduced me to Felton Spencer. Felton Spencer acted like he was familiar with who I was because Scotty does the thing. Scotty makes you feel like you're the most important person in the world. He's talking to his team. He's like you never know who's watching you practice. You guys are going through your workouts right now. Right over there, that guy right there. He's on the radio every day, 3 to 6 every day. And I'm I'm not gonna talk about hey, that guy Ian Clark was not doing his full-on push-ups during their workout. I'm not gonna talk about that on the radio. But Scotty, he'll hype you up regardless of who you are. And so I think Felton Spencer's oh, this guy's a big deal. He was acting like he was familiar. He had no idea who I was, but I really, really appreciated that he was playing along, which was very, very nice. Everyone who ever met him talked about how great a guy he was. And I let him know, like, the first ever NBA game I ever went to, the only exhibition game that I went to 2 exhibition games when they were at Freedom Hall. It was when he was playing for the Timberwolves. And I got his autograph on a playing card in the locker room after the game. Saw Christian Laettner naked. Horrified me. Still a core memory to this day that I cannot shake. And I let him know that I told him that story, and he thought it was like the funniest thing in the world. Very nice guy. Very sad that he is, unfortunately, he passed way too soon.
Yeah.
One of the longer Louisville basketball NBA careers.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Couple different teams.
maybe didn't quite have the level of success that people were hoping he was going to, but was a serviceable big man for a number of years in the NBA.
Atherton regular sub.
Atherton regular sub.
Like I'm sure he subbed at other schools, but
Was he cool or was he like?
I think he like purposely like looked into Atherton. Like he subbed for us regularly. I've had often he would be the, and it was like a thing like teacher would be out 3 days in a row. He was like our substitute sub for math for 3 straight days, kind of a thing. We also had a Steelers player. I can't remember who. A player who played for the Steelers in U of L and substitute teachered.
Gerard Holloman?
One time in middle school we had the Bengals linebacker that this is what everybody said this, that he was who tackled Bo Jackson in like the career-ending injury. Like apparently he was our teacher in middle school. No idea how true it is.
There's no way.
That's just what they said. That's what they said.
Kevin Walker is who tackled Bo Jackson to end his career. I remember watching that game. It was Monday Night Football.
I have no idea of this substitute teacher's name.
Does Kevin Walker have any ties to the city of Louisville? He played at the University of Maryland. He's from Denville, New Jersey.
That's just what they said.
He played at West Milford in New Jersey. Played for the Bengals for 4 years.
Hey man, that's close.
I'm not putting it out of the possibility.
Maybe he was on the field.
Okay. Texter says, it's odd how we haven't faced Gonzaga since that 2000 game. You would think that those two programs would have run into each other at some point in time, but no, it's been 25 years. Texter says, did Virginia and Mike Rutherford attend Mark Pope's father-daughter basketball camp? No. But I know one local media person who did. Did you see Kent Taylor? Kent Taylor's out there. He's not wearing UK stuff, but he's out there doing like a father-daughter dance with his daughter Emerson. Kent Taylor, KT was there. I was not at the Mark Pope father-daughter basketball game. I've got a hunch that Virginia Rutherford's not going to be dragging me to any father-daughter basketball camps. I don't think sports are really in our future, besides maybe swimming. Texture says, Big Dog Vince Marrow doesn't always strike me as the most intelligent person solely based on his grammatical errors in his tweets. I feel like you need someone who knows the difference between there, and 2 for this position. Now y'all are talking about before getting to my text. Disregard it. Well, sorry, I already read it. I will handle the Big Dog social media for the small price of $500,000 per year. That's not a flat fee, per year. Recurring whenever he's hired, if he's hired. We don't even know if this is going to happen. Sounds like it's going to happen. Text says, Mike, you have to tell us the total number of deleted tweets once complete. So there's somebody out there who's just like retweeting all of them.
You can't delete them.
I'm not going to delete
Trevor
them.
Edwards.
Trevor Edwards is doing it?
Yeah.
I want to see how many tweets right now that he's... Oh, there's the one of me that's him Photoshop with our heads on each other. Okay, so here we go. This is... I'm just going through what he's retweeted. This is me talking about Nick Saban retiring. He may not be the number one choice, but hearing Vince Marrow's emerged as a top-tier candidate for the job.
He was always on the short list. He was never the top candidate.
He's never number one. He's always just, I'm not sure where he is on the list. I just know that he's being genuinely considered. Lots of buzz that an off-the-radar candidate has emerged as an early leader in the Michigan search. Don't be shocked if Kentucky's Vince Marrow gets a serious look from the reigning national champs. That was 2. Don't be shocked if Vince Marrow gets a look here. That's Liam Cohen interviewing for the Bears job. Well-placed sources in Lexington say Vince Marrow is getting a serious look to replace Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House. That's 4. A name that keeps popping up from my sources inside the Democratic Party is none other than the big dog himself, Vince Marrow.
Had to be one for the Pope, right?
I don't know if I did one for the Pope. There's a picture of me and him at KSR Bar with our Photoshops there. That's the big dog still mulling over a 9-figure deal to become the next head coach of Southern Miss. That's 6. What's the latest on Vince Marrow to Southern Miss? That's 7. There's a lot more.
A lot of Southern Miss talk today.
Yeah. Look.
Brett Favre.
It's going to be tough for me. I don't know what else there is to say about it. It's been a fun. I mean, I'm more sad about it. Put the awkwardness aside. I'm more sad that the joke is going to be retired. And I don't know if I can keep doing the joke for an active member of the U of L staff if that winds up being the case.
Is this the worst your previous online presence has bitten since DePaul Day?
Yeah. Yeah.
Toughest look on your digital footprint right here now, Mike.
Well, I mean,
Well, DePaul Day was going to come to an end eventually.
DePaul Day was bad. I mean, DePaul Day was the worst. But, like, as far as, like, recurring tweets, I mean, I've gotten lit up by, like, I posted a video of the John Calipari. What I thought was a harmless tweet. John Calipari talking to his team consistently at the end of the season about how, like, don't worry about all these big leads that we've blown. Like, we're winning the game still.
Yeah.
And I'm like, kind of a tough look because
They blew a big lead.
they blew a huge lead and it cost them their season. And Arkansas fans went ballistic about that. They're like, oh, God, he went to the Sweet 16. Like, where'd Louisville? Like, all that stuff. But that's not like a recurring, that was just like a tweet that they got upset about. I mean, Kentucky fans were very upset about the, like, sorry thing. And they, like, used it, threw it back in my face despite completely missing the point of the whole thing.
I'm sorry.
It was okay. It was fine. We survived. We were still standing. But yeah, I mean, as far as like this is bad too because it's been like I've been mocking the UK media people who keep doing this shamelessly, time and time again. It's like the Brad Stevens thing. That was a great recurring joke for a long time, Tom Crean. But if they actually came here, well, Tom Crean coming here would have been bad. Brad Stevens coming here would have not been bad. It's a hit. It's a hit to the persona. It's a hit to the social media. There's no question about it. We'll figure something out. We'll make it happen. Real quickly before we go to break here. So there's been a lot of talk about, I don't know if we have time to, we have to just kind of preface this and then maybe come back and talk about it after the break. There's been a lot of talk about private equity getting involved in college athletics. There's been talk for a long time about this is going to happen. It's a matter of when, not if. We now have the first domino to fall in that regard. And quite frankly, I'm surprised by the names attached to the story. But Penn State and UCLA have both signed 8-figure private capital deals with Elevate. They become now the first 2 athletic departments to take on private capital. If you had told, I mean, UCLA, maybe not a gigantic surprise, but Penn State being one of the first 2 programs to link up with a private capital funder, like it's surprising to me. But this is, the domino effect is going to be just that. You're going to see more and more programs take this type of money.
You don't think Neely Bendaputi's always on the forefront?
Well, she's got that Coke money. She's not COKE, KOCH. She's yeah. I guess when you put it like that, less of a shock than I'm originally saying. All right, we got to go to break. When we come back, 5 o'clock hour is up next. We'll take some more texts from you guys. We'll talk about the other sports that we have not, topics that we have not gotten to just yet. It's the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanics. Welcome into the 5 o'clock hour of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Here with you for the last 25 minutes of today's show. Reminder though, don't flip the channel when we sign off. When I sign off, Roman will still be here. He'll be joined by Dalton Pence for another hour and a half of Louisville sports-related programming. And kind of like we said last Monday, you get to June, you get to Monday, you feel like, these are the lean days on sports radio here locally. There's not a lot to talk about. We're going to start talking about crazy murder-for-hire plots again, whatever's in the news. Not the case right now. The Louisville baseball team has given us a gift from the content heavens. We've got actual big-time Cardinal sports to talk about for at least another week because the Louisville baseball team is headed to college, the Omaha for the College World Series for the 6th time in program history. 502-414-1450 is the Big X text line. Could be the Big Dog text line at this point. Maybe we'll take some money. If the Big Dog wants to sponsor the text line, we're willing to take that. I'm no longer answering questions about the Big Dog at this point in time. Hand up. Roman Kelly's here. Patrick Ryan has moved on. We're still riding the high of what we saw out there at Jim Patterson Stadium over the weekend. One of the coolest things about, going to the College World Series in any way, shape, or form is fantastic. But when you do it at home, the content that comes out of that, seeing the players dogpile, seeing all the videos of all the fans that are in attendance, we haven't given a shout out to these guys yet. We need to. Roman, the guys who were on top of that house down the third baseline.
Oh, yeah.
Formerly known as the dugout. Shout out to my guy again, Ryan Keeling. Like that house, they've been doing that for 18 years at this point, dating back to the first run to Omaha. But they had the dog up there on the roof on Friday. And I didn't see the dog on Saturday or Sunday. I believe the dog's name is Apollo. Those guys reached out. They were like, hey, appreciate the shout out.
Always dog's name.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I was like, I want to get the dog on the radio show. They were like, let's make it happen. We do not have the dog on the show today. Big thank you to Sean Moth, who is our dog, for popping on early on the Call Your Law Firm hotline. If you've not heard, you can check that out there. Patrick Ryan says it can confirm those dudes still call it the dugout.
That's cool.
I reached out to Ryan, sent me a text too. Like he was the original dugout guy that I knew at least. And it was like, this was like 11, 12 years ago. He's like, I can't believe that house hasn't been condemned yet. Isn't that everybody in college though? Didn't everybody have a house that you were like, how is this house allowed to exist? And then 15, 20 years later, it's still thriving.
Yeah, I lived in like 2 of them.
Did they have nicknames?
There's just one of them just got called Third Street House.
Okay. The other one? Are you allowed to say?
No.
the house that we always went to when I was at Dayton, it was like the big party house, was called the Crack House, and it's still I think called the Crack House today, and it was definitely should have been condemned. But I think every college has a house like that. But shout out to those guys. I mean, they made quick waves. We're talking about a Friday first pitch at what was that game? Started at 3.
Yep.
And immediately kicking off the weekend in high fashion. They ripped those shirts off very quickly.
They had a huge crowd out there on
Sunday's game, but it was pretty packed.
Yeah.
And I love the guys that have the elevated setup on top of the car. They're like pumping Sean Moth. You can hear the call on 970 for everybody to hear. It was just the scenes were fantastic.
Fire truck was there all 3 days with the firehouse guys watching from the truck.
Oh, I love that.
That's cool.
I noticed them. I mean, very quick. So we brought. I haven't even really talked about our experience. We got to see you and Patrick out there on Saturday, which was awesome. But we brought the kiddos out. Shout out to Gabby, and she gave us she hooked us up with some tickets there. And then my guy Brad gave us some other tickets there. So I was like, Mary's dad is like the biggest U of L baseball fan of all time. Like, listens every single game, night to Sean Moth, knows everything. So he really wanted to go. We brought him out there. We brought the kids. And we didn't know how it was going to go at all. Like, Virginia and John, it's a 9-inning game. John's very young. Virginia's got no interest in sports. But we knew there was a playground there. Now, they've changed the playground. There's not as much over there. So it was a question of how long is it going to take before they demand to go to the playground. And the answer was, like, the third inning. So I was there for, like, the best moments of the game for Louisville, the Eddie King 3-run homer. And I'll give a shout out to this kid. He was standing behind me, and he and his friend are standing up on the playground. And this kid goes, 3-run homer right here. Next pitch, like 1.5 seconds later, the ball is crushed. And then someone tweeted at me, I don't know if he's lying or not, but he was like, that was my kid. He ran over from the playground. Was like, I called it. But that was a fantastic moment. And one of the really cool things, I mean, we've talked all day about how cool it is for Louisville baseball to do what they've done over the past couple of weeks and what it means for the program and what it means. One of the things that I love, and it's sort of a conversation we had during the men's basketball season, is seeing the next generation of fans have these types of moments. Because, kids around here, you've got your major league teams to be fans of. You've got basketball and football here for U of L sports. Baseball always is going to play like third or fourth fiddle, like it does at most major sports programs. But to be able to have those kids in those formative years who haven't had super regional games or regional games to go to, I mean, we haven't had a super regional here since 2019. We hadn't had, we had the 2022 regional. But if you're like 8 years old, you probably don't remember that. You certainly don't remember a super from when you were 2. So to get those formative, those core memories, it helps you building the next generation of fans. And Louisville baseball, we've had some hiccups in recent years. That affected the home attendance. It was terrible timing the way that all things played out, because we started going to the Jim Patterson Stadium used to always be free. That was apparently his big want in dedicating the money to create that stadium, was he's like, I want every game to be free. And then we got to a point where, we needed revenue like every program, so they started charging for most home games. And unfortunately, not long after that, the program went through its first real dry patch under Dan McDonnell, and so attendance has not been what anybody would like it to be. If you want to get back to the days of Jim Patterson being packed for ACC weekend series and packed for games besides just those midweek contests against Kentucky, having that next generation hooked at this age, it goes a long way towards making that happen. So, seeing kids around here, I wrote about it today, but I've always felt like Louisville's an underrated baseball city. Baseball was huge here at one point in time. We had a major league team back here at the end of the 19th century. And then we've had local legends here that have been big in baseball, most notably Pee Wee Reese. We've had great local talent. I mean, a lot of players have come through this area, which exists in a climate where you can't play the sport 12 months out of the year, and have gone on to do great things. Traveling around kind of the Midwest playing baseball growing up, I put a lot of the high school fields in this area up against any of the high school fields in areas that have more money or areas where you can play the game 12 months out of the year. So I've always taken a lot of pride in the underrated baseball culture of the city. And it helps significantly when you've got the big college sports team of this area doing what they've done over the past couple of weeks, making these runs to the College World Series, hosting regional games, hosting super regional games, and it feels like we're finally back to that. We'll see what happens moving forward, but to have the Stars come back, to have Eddie King Jr. now become a local hero, Zion Rose is certainly a fan favorite as well. It feels right again, and I'm so thrilled that that's the case. Roman, you can attest to this. I've always felt like the baseball cultures and the soccer cultures in Louisville are similar. Like my friends who played soccer growing up, who played for Javanon, they would go and they would play these best teams in the country, and they would acquit themselves really well. And a lot of the local high school teams are very good.
And Louisville soccer at one point was
great,
always nationally ranked.
We had an undefeated season until we lost the national title game in 2010.
4 or 5 straight years where I felt like we were a contender.
Yeah.
And we were getting the number, maybe not getting the best players but having guys go in the draft every single year. You knew, he's last year he's going to be a senior. He's going to the draft. And I was just what you just said. I don't remember. Obviously, I didn't go to U of L baseball games. When I remember Louisville soccer being it's exciting. We got the Louisville soccer game tonight. And all we have to do to get in is bring a canned item. It was free if you just brought a canned item in. I feel like I went to 4 or 5 soccer games as a young kid or early teenage years. And canned good got you in. You were watching future MLS players play.
I mean, U of L produced number 1 draft pick in the MLS, and Andrew Farrell. And we had
that excitement is what led to Louisville City being possible.
No question about it. I could not agree more. But, Louisville's always had, I think, an underrated soccer community. I think it's always had an underrated baseball community. And you get a chance to it's one thing to say that, but you can't really point to anything tangible to back it up until you get moments like the one we had this past weekend with Jim Patterson Stadium overflowing with folks and kids around there wearing their own baseball jerseys from whatever team they're playing for. And it's nice to have that celebration of that sport here in the city again, because it's felt like over the past few years we've been in danger of losing a little bit of that. When you, like we kind of talked about, it's one thing with a head coach. When they kind of lose it, typically that downward trajectory continues until they call it quits or they're forced to call it quits. But when a program that doesn't have a lengthy history of being successful at the top of the sport, and you may say 18 years is a long period of time. You know what I mean, though. Like, we weren't winning national titles in the 70s or the 80s or the 90s. We don't have that. It's sometimes powerful programs sort of disappear. They fall off the face of the earth. Houston basketball went away for a long time before they came back just in the last 4 or 5 years. And now with Louisville being in a conference where we don't have unlimited funds like they do in the SEC or the Big Ten, I think people got concerned about, is all the money just going to go to football and men's basketball, and what are going to happen to these other sports that we've been so good at basically since Tom Jurich got here and we've taken a lot of pride in, but that don't produce the type of revenue that the top-tier sports do. A run like this could not be happening at a better time. It's justification for them receiving some additional funds. It's motivation for the fan base to get out there and help fund the program as best they can. And hopefully it's a sign to other players out there that you can still come here and compete with the best of the best, whether you're a transfer portal player or a traditional recruit. I mean, McDonald's exact quote after the game yesterday, he was asked, and I said this to Sean, I love that Dan is always really honest with his opinions. He doesn't do the whole, I love Rick Pitino when he was here, but if you pointed out, hey, did you ever feel the pressure about this losing streak, or did you ever hear the outside noise? He would always lie. He would always just be like, no, I don't. We never pay attention to anything like that. We work on the inside. He was always paying attention to that stuff. He was always hearing the noise when the criticism got high. And Dan's never been afraid to say, yeah, I started doubting myself a little bit. We missed the NCAA tournament 3 times in 4 years. His exact quote from yesterday was, just call it what it is. We were disrespected as a program. Players, coaches, even commitments were just backing out and dropping like flies as if we weren't the program that we built here. Yes, there was a chip on my shoulder. There was a chip on our players' shoulders. There was a chip on this program's shoulder. He's not making any bones about it. This run is different than the ones they made in 2019 or 2017 or 2015 or 2013. Whenever the program was rolling, when they expected to be in this type of position. This was a reaffirmation that Louisville baseball still can be what we had expected it to be from 2007 through 2020. And it's comforting to see them do this. It's also, like he's saying, we've had some elite recruiting. The biggest problem for Dan McDonnell recruiting was getting players that were too highly touted when it came to their MLB draft status. Every single year for I think 12 straight seasons, we had a player who was signed to play at Louisville who never made it to campus because they were such a high draft pick that they felt the need to sign their professional contract and start their career. Joe Adell out of Ballard was one of those kids. That was our biggest issue. And then lately, it's been tougher to get players to sign up here. It's been tougher to go out there and sign some of the best players in the transfer portal. We've lost some of our best players going to SEC programs. Gavin Keelan was our best hitter last season. Started at shortstop for Tennessee. Guess what? He's not going to the College World Series. Isaac Humphrey took the money to go to Ole Miss. Guess what? Didn't make it to a super regional. We're still standing. This guy can still get it done. The doubts were justified. I certainly had mine. I certainly voiced mine. The text line consistently voiced its. He answered all of it. I don't want to say you're playing with house money now. Kind of feels like you are. But why not have this team be the one? Get over the hump. Play loose. We already know they can play with anybody in this thing. Let's win the whole damn thing. Looking at College World Series odds and how likely it is, according to the odds makers, that Louisville does win the whole damn thing, they're not overly high on the cards. The favorite to win the national title as of right now is LSU, who hammered West Virginia last night to lock up their spot. They're plus 250. Arkansas, the other SEC team, still standing. They're the second choice, plus 280. Coastal Carolina, they're on our side of the bracket. They're plus 650. Oregon State, our first opponent in Omaha, they're plus 700. UCLA's plus 1,000. Arizona's plus 1,300. Louisville right now is the lowest man on the totem pole when it comes to teams that have already punched their tickets to the College World Series. We are plus 1,600, making us the 7th choice out of 7 teams. Now, there are 2 teams still out there looking to lock up that spot. They'll play tonight, Duke and Murray State. Duke is plus 2,500. Not sure what their odds are going to be if they do win. I assume they'll be close to us, maybe slightly below. And then Murray State is plus 15,000. I feel like there's money to be made on Louisville. I'm not calling my shot here. I recognize why we are where we are on the betting totem pole. But do a little digging. Watch how we played against top 10 competition this season, or look at how we've played when we've been fully healthy. They showed the stat up during yesterday's game, Louisville's record with Matt Klein and Louisville's record without Matt Klein. I think we're more of a live shot than you might believe if you just look at the numbers. We've been a different team the last couple of weeks, and I think we still have more in the tank. Roman, you going to throw a couple shekels on the cards?
I'm ready to win a championship, Mike.
I'm ready to go win a championship, too. It's been a long time coming.
Be the perfect year to do it.
It's not time yet because we still have big-time Cardinal sports to be played to do a full year in review type thing. But it is, I think, kind of setting in now that this isn't year of the Cardinal or anything like that. But it's been a hell of an athletic season for U of L sports. And it feels like we're building towards something even greater moving forward. I mean, football goes out there. It's still a little bit of a what-if season. But you win 9 games, you win a bowl game, you beat Clemson on the road. I think it's hard not to call that a successful season. Men's basketball, clearly a successful season. I know we would have liked to have played deeper into the NCAA tournament, but
the preseason expectation versus where we finished was definitely a success.
I mean, 0 top 25 votes going into the year. We play in the ACC championship game. We set a program record for conference wins. We safely make the NCAA tournament. We go into the NCAA tournament as a top 10 team in the AP poll, which is crazy because we were an 8 seed, but still, without question, a successful season. Women's basketball gets it back a little bit, wins a game in the NCAA tournament, feels like they're building towards something better. Volleyball comes 1 win shy of winning a national title. Men's soccer got back to the NCAA tournament. We've had a hell of a year, and now baseball's got an opportunity to put the ultimate cherry on top. And I think the bigger thing is it feels like there's better days ahead for all the sports that we're talking about. Like baseball, if they can get that momentum back, who's to say that we can't get back to the days that we're used to, where we're preseason top 15 every year, and we expect to be playing in super regionals. Women's basketball is recruiting at a high level again. They brought back most of the talent from last year's team. They're going to be preseason top 20. I don't think without question. We know men's basketball is supposed to take a step forward. Football, we feel like we're building towards something even bigger. Whether it's this year or next year, 2 years from now. It's a good time to be a Louisville Cardinals fan across the board. And I don't think we've been able to say that very often over the last 10 years. Big X text line's 502-414-1450. You got about 7 minutes left to have your thoughts made here on the radio. We are going to let Roman get his Big X Big Bets in here before Dalton Penn steps in. They do their last show for the hour and a half here. Texture says, Mike, Miller Moss dropped his ice cream cone right in front of me on Saturday. I hope that's not bad luck for the season. Also, good luck. Good meeting you on Saturday. Good meeting you, too. You're not identifying yourself, but great meeting you. Are we worried about Miller Moss dropping his ice cream cone?
No.
You don't care?
I think it'll be all right.
Okay. Texas says Sean Moth for mayor. I'd vote Sean Moth for anything. Sean Moth is the absolute best. I mean, we were talking about Dave, the teacher from Jeffersonville, talking about it. Sean Moss talking about the geese, and it kind of made me tear up. Like, I get it. Like, Sean Moth, he paints pictures in a way that it speaks right to your soul. He also, Dave, teacher from Jeffersonville, I didn't read the second part of his text. He said, I'm trying to decide if I should buy the new college football game. What does Roman think?
Buy it. Buy that game.
Very succinct. Just went right for it.
Because, look, Mike, one day you're going to buy the physical copy, too. I'm angry at myself for how many digital copies I've bought in the last couple of years, because one day I'm going to want to pass this Xbox on to somebody, either a kid or a little brother or a friend's kid or something like that, and I want to have some games and be able to give them to them. You've got the system for a reason. Buy the games.
All right, we've got breaking news here.
Do we? Not.
Are you ready for this?
Not really.
Yeah, this is a moment, I don't know, like 6 years in the making. Pete Thamel says this. Sources. Kentucky Associate Head Coach Vince Marrow is expected to become the general manager of the Louisville football program as he's finaling a 3-year deal there. He'll oversee roster management, recruiting, and the NCAA transfer portal. I would like to say this. I can confirm Pete's report that my well-placed sources in Lexington are letting me know that they think that this may be the job that finally pulls the big dog away from Lexington.
There it is.
I mean, I'm crying a little bit. This is the last time that I get to do this. I feel like I need to send the tweet out. Man. So here's what I've been told. So we've been kind of dancing around it, but now it's officially out there. My understanding is that Louisville, by not hiring him as an official coach, does not have to pay the $1 million buyout that was in place with Vince's contract at UK. And that's been the big holdup this whole time. It's been no secret that Louisville has been, well, Vince Marrow has been trying to leave Kentucky to join Louisville staff for like a year and a half now. And the holdup has been, in this day and age where you're trying to pinch pennies as much as you can't justify paying $1 million to buy out an assistant coach, especially one that doesn't do a ton of coaching, is more known for recruiting. So because we are now hiring him as director of player personnel or general manager, whatever, however they're going to phrase it, he's not technically a coach on staff, which means we don't have to pay the buyout. Okay. It's a weird day for me. This is not the way that I saw this day going, but here we are. Marrow had been at UK for 12 years and is currently both the recruiting coordinator and the tight ends coach in an associate head coach role. Well, a lot to digest there. We'll do more of it tomorrow. Roman, for now, though, I need to hear the Big X Big Bets for today.
All right, Mike. I'm feeling good about tonight's plays. I got two different plays, one in the MLB, one in the NBA, or I'm sorry, in the NHL, Stanley Cup. We'll start with the Stanley Cup tonight. Oilers are going to get the win tonight.
Okay.
They're going to take a 2-1 lead. Panthers got one of the Oilers home ice. I think the Oilers are going to get one of the Panthers home ice. Starts tonight. Oilers money line, Mike.
Ooh.
Straight up. That's how I'm feeling. That's where I'm thinking. And my next play here, I'm not feeling as confident in it, but I'm taking it. I like it. I think that the Padres at home, under 8.5. This line opened up at 5.5, and it's up to 8.5. I think if it started off that low, I get something changed. I think of the Dodgers pitching. They got Dustin May out there. He's not terrible. But the Padres have Pivetta on the mound. I think this is going under 8.5.
Okay.
5.5 to 8.5, that's a massive jump.
That's a big jump.
I still think it's going under. Those are the two plays. That's all I got.
That's all you got?
Yep. Off to a super, super hot June. We're 9-2.
Ooh. I had no idea you were that red hot right now.
Yep.
Damn. All right. Now, I told you this is going to be an on every month on and off type deal. Red hot April, a little bit of a down May. We don't need to talk about it. And now cannot miss on in June. Did you bet the Belmont by any chance?
I did not.
I
should have took your play.
I told you. I made one bet.
Did you hit the trifecta?
I did not have Baeza. I ended up not betting the try.
You said something about Baeza, though.
I did. I said the top three, I think, are the most likely to finish top three. I think Sovereignty beats out Journalism. I mean, I've been locked in on this Triple Crown, but it wasn't going to pay that much. So I just made one. I took all the money that I would have spent on small exotic bets to make a little bit of money and made one hefty bet on Sovereignty to win. And
made a little bit of money?
Felt good about it, yeah. Only one bet.
Good.
Hey, so you got the Oilers winning straight up tonight. I think the Panthers take game three. I still like the Oilers in the series overall, but I think Florida gets it done tonight. First two games have been phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
It's been a great month of June for sports. We've also got to, later on this week, we've got to play, is it a real golfer or is it a guy that I just made up? Because it's U.S. Open week at Oakmont. And we got to get Roman's U.S. Open pick. Boom. Do you have to get out of here now?
No, yeah, 45 seconds.
45 seconds? All right. Like I said, keep it locked right here. We've got Dalton Pence in for the next hour and a half talking with Roman. Hopefully you guys get a chance to talk a little bit of baseball and not just Vince Marrow talk for the next hour and a half. I mean, tomorrow's show, I can already see the writing on the wall. it's just going to be straight Vince Marrow talk on the show. Maybe we'll get the big dog on tomorrow. Will it happen? You'll have to tune in and find out. All right, let's get it done tonight, Oilers. Let's go. Regardless, I'll see you guys back here tomorrow at 2:30. Keep it locked, though. Dalton Pence and Roman Kelly, 90 minutes of U of L Sports Talk coming your way next here on 1450 and 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Go Cards.
Go Cards.
The Mike Rutherford Show was